H-Town for real. And you know we keep it real. Getting that money. Getting that money. This H-Town for real. And you know we keep it real. Getting that money. Getting that money. It's like ghetto dreams. Diamond rings and things. Coming down. I'm shaking haters like a king of dream. Hold up. Sliding down the avenue with an attitude. Drop the top just to show the Lord my gratitude. Hold it, applying pressure like I bust a vest. Pull up at Frenchie's, bumping Pat Pat when I'm feeling extra. But Big Mo at Papa Do's when I'm feeling special. I'm talking big body lat. I can't fit in no Tesla. Love my city, I love my city, I love my city. Ask God to make my arms longer so I can hug my city.
Welcome to the Wind Up Podcast, brought to you by Frank the Tank Team 7 Grillers, Ferrari Michelada Mix, my man Chris Webb with Wick Web Design, Issa Cookies, my man John at Senor Spit Custom Sunflower Seeds, and C4 Bat Company. I'm Steve Medina, along with the birthday boy, Mr. Julio Ramirez. Julio, how you doing today on your birthday, bro?
I'm doing great.
Man, had I known it was your birthday before I saw it on Facebook, we would have canceled, but my bad.
Nah, we're good. I'm good.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Also in the house, the man that needs no introduction.
Hey, let's go.
Mr. Legends himself, Kansas City Chiefs' favorite fan since they won the Super Bowl.
Yes, sir. Chiefs Kingdom.
I made a mistake 2 weeks ago. I said you went to Pasadena Memorial. You actually went to Sam Rayburn.
Sam Rayburn, yes, sir.
Sam Rayburn legend. There's not too many of them, Julio.
Nah,
so
not too many, man.
so Junior's one of them.
Not too many.
The guy, the Versace Mariachi,
Yes, sir.
Junior Aguilar. How you doing today, buddy?
Man, I'm doing fine, man. Weather's kind of sucks right now, but it actually
But
feels
the
good
sun,
outside.
but the sun was coming out.
Yeah, the sun
we
was
just
coming
we
out.
just saw the sun, so that's actually really really good, man. So why don't you introduce our guest today, Junior?
All right, man. Well, there he is, the one and only Coach Willie Ansley, man. Former first-round pick for the Houston Astros, 1988, correct?
The 7th overall pick, correct?
Yes, sir.
The 7th overall pick, and we're going to talk about that later on. So right now, you're the highest drafted person that's ever been on our podcast.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to find a
Win
sixth
a
guy.
prize or something? Ain't no prize?
Well, it's funny that you say that because we got some Carbach from our
Yes.
friends from Carbach. So right there, you could get you some Crawford Bach, or you could get you some Tasty Waves
Yes.
throughout the show, or you can get you some Cavalry Out Tequila, or you can get you some Gatorade, maybe some water or something. But thank you for showing up. We've been trying to get you for a while, so we finally were able to get you here, and we're going to talk ad nauseum about baseball today, because not only are you a former first round draft pick, but you're also a player. Then of course you're a trainer, and you're also a coach too. And so we're going to try to hit on all of those today, and we're just going to chop it up as long as we possibly can. It's a Friday. We're not playing. Who knows when we're going to play? Every time I turn on Facebook, I get information that we're playing, we're not playing, we're going to play, with mask, no mask. At this point in time, wake me up in July when we play. You know, I'm just saying. And listen, I know everybody wants to play. We want to play. We want to get out there. We all know all this stuff, right? But until Governor Abbott decides that, you know, it's safe enough for us to play, then I guess that's where we're going to play. Yeah. But to sit here and say, oh, man, you know, this is going to happen, no. I don't believe anybody's sources anymore, Willie. No. I mean, you know, Junior, I thought he had some credible ones in the Pentagon. but
They didn't come through, man.
Yeah, man, but I don't know what happened here. But before we get into it, Julio, dude, so what did you do on your birthday today, dude, during this COVID-19 mess?
I actually worked this morning.
You did?
This morning, I did a little bit of yard work.
Oh, so you worked at home?
The rain.
You worked at home?
Well, no, I went to the shop for 4 hours.
For 4 hours? Okay.
Came home, did some stuff that I wanted to get done at the house, and then relax and came here.
So walk me through your day. You wake up, 2 breakfast, no breakfast, what?
I make my breakfast at work.
Okay, so that means no breakfast.
A coffee.
Oh,
Okay.
so you're also the guy like me that has like the little egg thing where you boil eggs?
Oh, yeah. I used
You
to
do
have
that?
one of those too, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
What's that?
Hard-boiled egg. It's a steamer.
Yeah. It's like a little steamer thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I do
don't
the
even
same
know
thing.
what that is, bro.
Yeah.
That must be
An
a
egg steamer,
Southeast
yeah.
side thing.
Egg steamer.
And, hey, okay, so no breakfast. You ate a boiled egg? What'd you eat today?
No, I ate a breakfast sandwich.
Oh, you ate a breakfast sandwich from where?
From the freezer.
Oh, okay.
I brought a little frozen ones. I'm like that.
Dude, I'm not even gonna, man. I'm never eating that. Okay. So what'd you have for lunch, man? I'm trying. Man, you're killing my vibe here, man. So what'd you do for lunch?
I ate some leftover pizza. That's about it.
Man, okay. So you ate a frozen breakfast sandwich, leftover pizza for birthday. So can I go out here on the limb and say your birthday could be a lot better?
Hey, I got an awesome birthday cake that I just got a little while ago. Though,
Yeah.
for my wife.
But you blew it.
I know.
And so now we can't eat. So now we can't eat.
That.
Yeah. So now we can't eat. So that's a COVID-19 birthday cakes that we cannot eat, but it looked great. Yeah. And so we want to thank your wife, your 2 kids, and all of us here who sang happy birthday. So once again, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, man.
I saw a picture of the, you caught a tuna, right?
Yeah, that was
Man,
2 years
awesome.
ago.
Man, that was awesome. That was an awesome tuna. Did you see it on Instagram?
Seen that.
Yeah, so I saw the picture, Coach, and I texted him and said, "Bro, is this Photoshop?"
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
He did.
first thing.
I was gonna Photoshop my Steve's face on that.
Yeah, you should. You should.
Like-
I'd have taken it because I saw it. I'm like, man, it kind of looks real, but I don't really know. But let me verify if it's real or not. So you verified that it was real.
It's all real.
It's all real. And then not only that, but then I think you sent me a picture, or was it on the Instagram, a picture of all the other fish that they caught that day.
Yeah, I sent you a picture of that.
Yeah, so I was like, man, I think I need to go with Julio when he goes fishing.
Yeah, we brought home about over 200 pounds of yellowfin tuna that trip.
Wow. Hey, and so let me ask you a question, because on the picture, man, if I don't ask you, then I'm gonna feel bad about myself as I'm driving home on the Beltway. Did you catch the fish in flip flops?
Yes. You look and see the pictures.
This dude
Flip-flops.
does everything in flip flops.
Yeah, look at the picture. It's flip-flops.
I know. That's why I'm asking. I saw him, but I didn't know if it was after that or during or whatever. Because
if you ask my family, my primary footwear is flip-flops. And then I
I
wear
was
shoes
just
after.
glad he didn't coach first base. I was scared of
I think you know what? I think I did it with the Legends long time
Hey,
when I
man,
stepped
hey.
in.
that doesn't surprise me at all.
Legend says Julio throws better BP with sandals than with regular shoes. So,
Really?
Legends the junior seen me in there with the
Hell
sandals
yeah.
on.
Oh, well,
yeah.
that's legends. Anything goes out there. That's a surprise. Hey, okay, so now we're on this birthday thing. So, what was dinner like? Did you go out to eat? They buy you something to eat, or you're still hungry? You going out afterwards?
I haven't had dinner yet, so.
You gonna hit a taco truck later on, or what
Now
are you
we'll
gonna
just
do?
now we'll just wait for it tomorrow. It's supposed to rain all day, so we might go out to eat somewhere.
Oh, okay, cool. Any presents?
Not yet.
Who was the first person to call you this morning?
Jacob. Jacob called me.
Who?
Jacob.
Jacob?
JJ.
Oh, he called you this morning.
Yeah,
That was the first person.
He video chatted. Oh, the first one was my mom, and then JJ.
Nice.
And
Mom's
then-
always for the win, man. At what time did your
And
mom
of course
call
my
you?
wife.
What time did your mom call you?
I was on my way to work, so maybe 6:30.
Oh, okay. Nice. Man, that's always good. That's always good.
But JJ and my wife, of course, Eli, they all wish me happy birthday.
Oh, nice. And then I think I came in probably like in 35th place around
Facebook?
9:30. Around 9:30 after I looked at Facebook, and then I saw the obligatory, it's so-and-so's birthday today. You and 6 friends have birthday. I'm like, oh, man, let me go in there and look. Oh, Julio, shit. So I went in and I did Julio. So, man, happy birthday, bro. I mean,
Thank you.
if it wasn't COVID and all the malls weren't closed, I'd have probably bought you something, but maybe next time.
There's always Amazon.
There's always Cash App. Right? Tell him, Julio, don't be scared.
Just kidding, Steve. Just kidding.
Then I'm gonna go to my famous. If I buy you a gift, anyway, we'll go back to that. But man, happy birthday, dude.
Thank you.
That's pretty cool, man. And I'm glad that you're here with us today. Because if it was my birthday, Coach, I don't know if I'd be here. I'm just especially with COVID, I'd make every excuse why I wouldn't be here.
That's
What
another.
a pro. What a pro.
That's another reason. It's COVID. There's nothing really to do.
What can you do?
What can we do?
Oh, you can do a lot.
You go to Tom House Sports Bar right there. That's my date night to get wings.
Number 1 and number 2. Which one's over there? Number 1, right?
Number 1.
Okay, number 1.
They have great wings, man. I go there.
Yeah, I've heard that. I haven't been there in a
Fridays.
while. I've been when they were in the corner.
Over there on Fuquay, right?
Yeah,
that
was
was the
last,
one I went to.
Yeah, that's the last time I've been there. I haven't been to the new one,
They got good food, man.
but I don't really hang out on this side anymore. But when I did, it was usually that one. So, man, happy birthday, man! And what are you doing this weekend? Maybe tomorrow you're gonna do something. Sunday you're gonna chill.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff to do at the house.
Chicken coop looking good,
Chicken
man.
coop.
Chicken coop.
going.
looking
That thing's souped up now.
Yeah,
going.
third week in a row. We still don't have no eggs.
Me and the wife have big plans coming.
For real? For what?
Not for chickens, but for other stuff.
Oh, okay.
You getting the boat? Julio's getting the boat.
Julio's getting a boat.
I already got a boat.
No, a bigger boat.
No.
No. All right.
That's funny. Hey, Maria Estrada, I got water right now. So, that's what I have. What do you have, Junior, in your cup? Do you have a cup? You got Gatorade?
I just had Gatorade.
Yeah, but we're fixing to do something else. So I mean, we'll have a little different. We'll have a little different vibe in here. Yeah,
I'm gonna drink one of those Crawford box later on in the show.
Yeah. Are you really?
Yeah,
it's good, man. It's good.
Some good beer, man.
Yeah,
Shout out to our friends at Carbach and Frank the Tank Team 7 Grillers, man.
Yeah, hey, Frank, man. Frank's been coming through, man. I mean, what's up with Frank?
Frank the Tank, man. I don't know, but
yeah, he's a good dude, man.
Great guy.
I'm gonna go. If you need a car, go call Frank. I'm not gonna say who he works for because I don't know if we're allowed to, but call Frank and he'll hook you up. Is he hooking us up with our Lambo truck? Because we're far away from that sucker. I think we're never going to get that.
He actually sent me a couple screenshots, but we're still about $242,000 away from it. So please donate to the GoFundMe or just send it directly to the Cash App at $the Windup.
Man, that could actually probably be the worst. What is it called? What'd you just call it? GoFundMe event ever.
I mean,
I think there's some worse ones out there.
Are there really? Yeah, but even the worst ones or the bad ones get money. We haven't even got money yet. Or do we got money in there?
Yeah, I mean, we got, like I said, we still, you know how much they are? They're like 250,000. So if I said we were at 244, 45?
We haven't hit 1,000 yet. We'll get there.
We'll
That's
get
the first
there.
milestone, getting at 1,000.
First milestone.
Hey, I think we need to temper our things down to like a Kia or something because of
I'll take an Astrovan at this point. We'll take an Astrovan.
Man, I don't know if we're gonna get all that, but it is what it is. But Coach, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing really good.
Are you really?
Yes, sir.
Let me thank you for our Rising Stars hats that we're sporting right now. It kind of matches with my little thing that I have on. I wore this because I got wet, and so I had it in the bag and I popped it open. It's too big, but I didn't want to waste a good shirt in the rain, so I popped this sucker on. And then I looked in the mirror and I was like, damn. I think I gained 20 more pounds putting this sucker on, man. I was like, man, I said, Julio, man, fix the camera so I don't look that bad. But that's what happens when you get wet. You don't have an umbrella, and you're messing around at Costco trying to buy a TV. So and I came home with no TV and drenched. So and I didn't even get a slice of pizza or a hot dog. Ooh. So man, Junior, I'm in a terrible week, man. Or at least a terrible Friday, man.
Well, the week started kind of rough because Issa decided to run into the back of an 18-wheeler, so totaled the Jeep. Ooh. Luckily, the kids were they were strapped up, and Jalen was he actually hit the front seat, the back of the front seat. Like the rails that hold the thing. Yeah. He hit it with his head. Went to the doctor, and they told him he just had a mild concussion, so they asked him just to shut it down for the rest of the week, but. I told him, I was like, look, I'm not your average dad, so if you feel good, we're gonna put in work. But I told him I'm gonna take it soft on you. And I told him, I was like, man, just take the week off, screw it. Well, the other day, I thought he took the week off. I got home, I was just chilling, and then you heard the garage. You just heard a bunch of and I was like, man, what's going on? I go in there, man, this dude's doing pure cardio insanity. I'm like, oh, okay, I think you're good. But he said he feels well, so I'm just glad that they didn't get hurt.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Insurance taking care of all that stuff.
Yeah. It just
it's a hassle, man. Because when I got hit in my car, man, it was terrible. It was the inconvenience of getting hit and messing around with the insurance companies and all that stuff. And I mean, because you can find whoever's going to fix your car, that doesn't mean your timetable is going to match with the insurance company's timetable. And so so that's good that all that got worked out. But let me say hi to Mike Partita, Maria Estrada, John Reese, Flash Gordon. Dude, Flash is always taking selfies on his FedEx truck, bro. Dude, if I was on his route, man, I'd be pissed. Every time he's either eating or taking he's got the same pose like that. I'm like, bro, deliver. You know Flash?
I don't know.
Oh, man, Flash is pissing me off because that's all he does is take selfies in his FedEx truck. I'm like, bro, you got a timetable.
We need Flash to stir up the pot a little bit again
Yeah, he needs to play some illegal players.
Yeah, something.
15 new teams. Nah, Flash, we're playing with you, man. Hey, hi to Frank the Tank Carranza. Hi to Keith Hart, Raul Guerra. Hey, man, what's up, Raul?
Somebody told us that we look like a
Charlie Crab
adult men's softball team, but a really good one. So, hell
yeah. Well, that had to be because of Willie. I'm just saying. So, A and Country, yeah, I do have to go to your house to go get some breakfast, man. I went to go drop something off at Country's house, man. Oh boy, had the barbacoa, the homemade tortillas, and man, I gained like 5 pounds going in that sucker.
It was going off, or what?
Yeah, it was going off, man. I didn't want to leave. He like kicked me out, and I was like, man, I'm gonna come back. But yeah, man. So shout out to everybody that's watching us on a Friday night. Frank the Tank with Frank the Tank Team 7 Grillers says he's going to bring some tomahawk steaks next Friday for Julio's birthday.
Nice.
That's like a week too late. He should be here today.
Yeah.
Come on,
Definitely.
Frank.
Yeah, Willie says you got to be here today. Hey, yeah, for Frank, we'll be here next week. Hopefully Julio will be here as well. But yeah, bring some tomahawk steaks, and hopefully you can cook them. As long as Junior doesn't cook them, we'll be fine. But so back to it, Coach, man. So how you've already said how well you're doing. Talk to me about yourself, man. I mean, obviously we're going to ask you some questions, but where are you from? You're originally from Houston. Where are you from?
I'm from Plainview, Texas, up between Lubbock and Amarillo. Country boy.
So is that West Texas, or what is that? What would you call it?
We call it Panhandle.
Okay, all right.
But people say West Texas, and we're like, we're not in West Texas. we're in the Panhandle.
Okay, Panhandle. And so you were born there? You were raised there?
No, I was actually born in Dallas, and I lived in Dallas for about my first 6 years of my life, and then we moved.
And did you move out there?
Yes.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay, you remember anything about Dallas?
Man, the only thing I remember about Dallas is I used to be afraid to go through downtown on the freeways, how high they are. I was terrified. And it left me afraid of heights for the rest of my life. I still am.
Man, okay, so you're in Dallas, and then you go to where you grew up in. How was that? Because it had to be different.
Well, for me,
how was it?
I was like 6 years old. So
Okay.
it was like the best thing for a 6-year-old kid in the country where we were. I mean, there was no restraint. You could go play anywhere, not like today. I lived with my grandmother for about a year, and she was in the country. So, I mean, I could run, do whatever, man. It was the best thing growing up for me. I mean, every summer my cousins all came down, and, I mean, we could just walk for miles and go and go and go. So it was great. I mean, I wouldn't change that. I love there. It's not the same anymore.
Of course.
But growing up there was great.
Now, when you say it's not the same there anymore, has it changed like it's changed here, or has it changed just based on the time, based on where they're at?
Well, it can't compare it to here.
Well, yeah.
For there, it changed because we had a lot of stuff to do. We had a water slide. We had a drive-in movie theater. It was a lot of things to do in that little small town. There's only like 26,000 at the time.
Okay.
So we had a lot of things. A lot of people from around came there, but they don't have that anymore. Okay. So it's left the kids with not very much to do. And, of course, that's going to lead them to doing a lot of other stuff they shouldn't be doing more than anything. So that in that aspect is not the same anymore being there. Yeah,
and the reason why I asked you that is because my dad was born and raised and grew up in a town called Kennedy, Texas, it's right by Karnes City and I guess Beeville and all that stuff over there, right? It's outside of San Antonio, but like an hour or whatever. So he would always tell me about how great the town was and all this and all that. Well, now when we go to that town, there's like nothing. I mean, there's like nothing. I mean, there's like an HEB. As a matter of fact, that was my first recollection of HEB when I would go to Kennedy. And so I always hated going there because they had salt water. They actually would drink salt water. Yeah, it was trash. Yeah, salt water. Yeah. Wow. So we would take distilled water back in the day because there wasn't bottled water like there is now. So take distilled water. The problem was when we would go to cousins' houses, they would have the salt water in the ice trays. And so when you busted the ice and put ice in your cup, well, once the ice dissolves, it's salt water. So I'm just asking that because, man, we go there now. I don't think I could be there 2 hours. Then I would have to leave because they just have the Walmart and they have some stuff, but I think it's like 2A or 3A. I don't even know. But I mean, I just like, small towns like that. And I'm not saying your town's small, but it's just funny how that happens, how over the years, either they prosper or they take a downturn.
Yeah. We had a meat packing plant there that employed a lot of people, and then that closed.
Oh, okay.
So then you had those jobs dry up, and now it's kind of like, we've always, when I was growing up, we were 5A, and we was always the smallest 5A school in the state, always, so we had to compete against the 5A schools in Lubbock, Amarillo, Abilene, and now they are still they have 6A, of course, but they are pretty much one of the smallest 5A schools in the state. And so it's been a struggle for them, especially football-wise. You don't have the bigger kids anymore. I mean, when I was growing up, we had some of the best athletes probably in the state in our little town growing up. So you've seen these players come along before you, and it's not like that anymore. So talent level has really dropped off.
Okay, so you grew up there. You play Little League baseball there, or when did you start playing baseball, and how did that come about?
Well, I started playing in T-ball. How I started playing was, again, small town. I'd be with my friends, and it was time to go to baseball practice, and they would go to practice. So I wasn't playing, so I would just go with them and watch practice. So after like a week and a half of being there every day, the coach says, "Hey, man, you might as well get on the team. You have practice every day." So I started practicing with them, and I started playing T-ball, and it was great then. When in my town, in a small town like I was from, the whole thing was you wanted to play in a T-ball championship because you got to play on a little league field, which means you got to play under the lights. It was like a big league.
Yeah.
That was the thing you wanted to do. So, it was us and another rival team. There in a small town, you had this side of town, that side of town. So it was kind of a rival between us, and we got to play under the lights, and that was one of the best things that, at T-ball, that memory was great, So growing up in a small town, I had a lot of great memories from Plainview, man. There's a lot of athletes, I said, came through there. We had a lot of great times, man. It was, back then, it was free, we could walk from one side of town to the other, get in a fight over here and be friends the next 5 minutes, and you don't have to worry about all that other stuff going. So it was great, man. It was great growing up there.
Who was y'all's high school rivals? What school was it?
Probably Hereford, Texas, man. It still is. Kind of dropped off, but
that's by Amarillo, right? Hereford?
Yes.
Okay. I think I know somebody that lives there because I get confused if they live there or Amarillo.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. We had Beat the Herd week in school, and it was they scheduled every 7th grade, 8th grade. Everybody played Hereford that week, and it would get pretty intense. I remember going to the bus and people following us in the 7th grade, chasing our bus down, holding up signs when we came into town. This is 7th grade football. And when I got to be on varsity, to experience that. I was a freshman playing football on varsity, and, man, they were pretty good. We was pretty good, and it was like a whole different rivalry, They actually, that's back when they used to do crazy stuff. They sent us a bulldog in a coffin.
Damn.
School, you got to think, we were the country boys. We the smallest school. We this little town. So Hereford was a smaller town as well, but when we had to play Lubbock Estacada, Amarillo High, all those schools, they always called us the country guys, and they hated if we beat them in anything. So it was, for us, it was a rivalry with everybody. You had to come and bring it, every Friday or Tuesday, Thursday when you played a game.
Now let me ask you something, Coach. So you played Little League and all that stuff. that was just you just played in town and played against other. You didn't travel. You didn't do anything back in the day. Well, I know that, but some people may not know, so that's why.
We had no. It was Little League, and that was it, man. You know that was the biggest thing for us is to play Little League, make the All-Stars, and try to go to Waco and win a game. Our town never could win a game there. I don't know. You know, sometimes I went 2 years to Waco and played in the state tournament. I don't know what anybody in our town did to the people in Waco, but man, we got a lot of raw deals there. A lot of raw deals, man.
Oh man. Let me see.
Bulldog in the coffin, man.
Oh yeah, man. It was crazy.
That's something like on Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
It was that. My freshman year, it was that, man. I remember seeing a guy get off the bus. I don't know if you remember Mel Blunt.
Yes, I do.
His son went to Lubbock, Monterey.
Really?
And, we was getting ready to play him, man. He got ready to get off the bus. I think it was him, man. He punched the window out. I mean, it was like, I guess that was the height of football back then, where it was rivalry, and it was like you going out there to hurt somebody, and that's how it was back then.
Oh man, hey, Coach Samura, how you doing tonight? Greg Amagor. Kevin Brown says he's drinking. He's drinking watching you right now.
All right. That's my boy.
How do you say his last name? Chevalier?
I have no idea. I call him Kevin Brown.
We're just going to call you Kevin Brown. No disrespect, Kevin. I
always see that, and I never try to pronounce it. I just call it Kevin Brown.
Hey, thanks, Jesse Espinoza, for checking in. And Big Country, I pass Runge when I go to Kennedy. So Runge's like, I think it has like one light and I think one stop sign. I think. And I think that light is like yellow. Correct me if I'm wrong, Country. Yeah, it's a little town, man. It's like the size of this block right here that we're at. So Deanne Rojas, also Larry House is also here. He went to Midland, Odessa. So did y'all play them out there?
Yeah, we would play them in the playoffs.
Oh, for real? Y'all beat them or?
No, they would. Man, that's one of the biggest schools in Texas back then.
Yeah, picking on you guys, man.
One year, and our biggest game was, I think, for my town. We played them in football. It was like in '76. They had some of the best athletes we had, coming through there, which we idolized those guys, man. And I think they beat them. Odessa beat them in a pretty good game. They ended up beating them. So, but they were on a whole different level most of the time. We were.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Also, hi to Coach Travis, to I think it's Brown. And what's up, Danny? 4A. 4A's watching also. What's up, 4A? Fidel Aleman. It's a stoplight now with stripes. Okay, I got you, man. I'm telling you, man. If you're drunk and you're driving past Runge, you will forget it.
You miss
or at nighttime too. So yeah, I'm not. I wish I was lying, but I'm not. Okay, so you're playing. Did you play football over there?
Yes, I played football.
So I heard you were kind of pretty good in football too.
A little bit.
Is that true?
I was pretty good.
Okay. How good were you? Well, I know, but I want you to say.
I'm 50 now, so
I was
really
but
good.
Back then.
What position did you play?
I played free safety and running back. I got a football scholarship to Oklahoma. And actually, I was packing to go to Oklahoma before I signed with the Astros. So, I love football, and it was great, growing up, again, up there. I was a free safety, so I was about, my junior year, I was 200 pounds, playing free safety, coming downhill. And
hitting people.
Just hitting them. I wasn't trying to intercept the ball. I was trying to separate you from the ball. So,
so I don't know the timeline. So I'm gonna ask you a question. So did Barry Switzer recruit you, or was that before or after him?
Barry Switzer recruited me. He actually came to my high school.
Did he really?
Oh yeah, that was an epic day, man.
Talk to us about that.
Well, I get there and he told me. My recruiting guy said, "Hey man, Barry's coming to the school." So, I had a few friends that were Oklahoma fans, and they wanted to meet him. So I tell like 3 guys, I said, "Look, man, come wait for me in the cafeteria, and Barry Switzer's gonna show up." So it's about 3 minutes before the bell rings, and they're like, he ain't coming, Right then he walks in, and he comes in, and it took about, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes. Everybody knew he was there, so that meeting went really fast, and then he was signing autographs in the gym. People lined up getting autographs and stuff. So I got a chance to meet. Barry came. Tom Osborne came.
Really?
So I got recruited pretty heavily by the bigger schools.
So you're like a 5-star guy if you have Tom Osborne and Barry Switzer going to the little old town in Texas.
Yeah, and I went to Iowa. Hayden Fry,
Hayden Fry came. Kidding.
He
wow.
came and
Oklahoma State. They don't know who Hayden Fry is. Yeah. Who's at Oklahoma State? Was it Jim Johnson or who was it?
No, it was. Man, I think his last name was O'Brien.
Really?
The coach that looked like a math teacher. I mean, he didn't look like, he came and had breakfast with me at McDonald's, and I remember sitting, this guy does not look like a football coach. He's a little guy. He was just sitting there talking to me, and I was thinking, wow, this guy can't be the head football coach. And he was. And I got to go on a visit there and meet Barry Sanders.
Okay.
We was out playing basketball, kind of shooting around, and he comes in the gym, and it was basketball guys there, so I thought I could jump pretty good. He's out there playing. Ball comes off the rim. I jump, and I feel somebody jump over my back, snatch the ball down. So I know these guys are 6'6", 6'8" out there, so I'm thinking, I turn around, I'm thinking it's one of them. I look, and Barry Sanders about this big, and he's just dribbling the ball, looking at me. And I'm amazed, like, this guy just jumped over me. And the guy said, man, he got some hops, don't he? And I said, yeah. Thurman Thomas was there as well.
Bro.
But, that was my Barry Sanders moment to get to really see somebody you looked up to, seen on Saturdays. And there this little guy was. He wasn't very big, but, his legs are so big. His pants was way too big in the waist. And I'm like, man, that's the guy I want to be.
Nice. Now, okay, so you're playing baseball and you're playing football.
Mm-hmm.
What did you play any other sports?
I played basketball.
Play basketball too?
Yeah, and I love basketball. I love it to this day. If I could have been 6'5", I would have been a basketball player. My freshman year, we're there at baseball, and the coach is asking everybody to stand up what they want to be, and I'm ready. Baseball coach says, what do you want to be? And I stand up. I said, I want to play basketball for the Phi Slamma Jamma.
I'm with you.
And he looked at me crazy like, you're in baseball and you're talking about basketball. And that coach probably got me to start believing that I could play baseball and get drafted, because after that he kind of laughed and he took me out on the track and he started explaining to me, son, you might want to play basketball, that's great, but you can make a lot of money playing this game in high school. And I never even, from the small town, even knew anything about the draft,
right?
And didn't even pay attention to it then. I just played. And one year when King Griffey got drafted, I was watching it and I was like, wow, man. And I thought, man, I'm just as good as that guy. And then I kind of started my mindset to say, okay, that's what I want to do. I actually want to get there. If people say I can, then I want to get there.
Now, when you figured that out and that's what you started thinking, was there somebody there to help you along the way, or was it just you just put in all the work by yourself? Or because today, now it's a lot different. And so now we're talking, 1987? When did you have this revelation? 86, 87?
87.
87?
And the way I got seen was my freshman year again. We went to a baseball tournament in Abilene. Abilene used to have a really big tournament back in there, and we was playing Abilene Cooper,
right,
which at the time they had one of the top baseball programs in the state. They had a kid that was throwing mid-90s, lower 90s, mid-90s on the team. He didn't even put his shoes on unless he was going to go on the mound. And, the scouts wanted to see him throw the last inning against us. So I was like the second batter. And, he came into the game. And, I go up there to bat. I'm 15. I ain't never seen anything probably harder than 78 maybe, So the guy comes up there. First pitch he threw me. I just heard I heard pow, and I heard the umpire say strike, and I'm standing there like, wow, I didn't even see this pitch, and then something inside of me said, look, when he get his arm up, just swing. So he winds up, his arm comes up, I kid you not, I closed my eyes and I swung, and I felt the ball hit my bat, and when I opened my eyes, I seen the center fielder, he was running back. And then he stopped running. He was still looking up, and then the ball went over the fence. So I'm running around the bases trying to keep from laughing because in my head I'm thinking I just hit the ball with my eyes closed. I mean, there wasn't no skill. You said teaching you, I didn't have anybody teaching me how to hit. It was just wanting to compete, you know. So when I wanted to compete, you want to compete. You just find a way to get it done. And my biggest thing was just see the ball and hit it. When I couldn't see it, I couldn't hit it. You know, so the ball went over, and then I had a scout from the Mets come up and ask me my name and stuff, and he told me he'll come back to this tournament every year and watch the progress that I've been making. And so it was just that, just being in the right place at the right time. You know, some things are God ordained. Right. You know, I believe that, you know, just hitting that ball. I tell you, it wasn't no skill. I just listened, swung, hit the ball, you know. And a lot of people don't believe it. I tell them, man, I ain't gonna lie. I closed my eyes, swung, and hit the ball. So it was that from that tournament on, I started having people come and watch during that tournament. We didn't have really anybody else, so whenever we went to that tournament, which was at the first of the year, I mean, I played basketball, so right after basketball, we'd go. It wasn't too long before we went to that tournament. And so, I mean, it was the fact that I knew that I hadn't been practicing baseball. I mean, it's a country. So you got winter. It ain't no go outside and hit. Man, it's snow on the ground. It's 40 degrees. You're not doing all of that. So I knew that when I went to Abilene, man, I got to be ready to hit the ball. And it was just trying the best I could to put the bat on the ball. And so I'd had good tournaments down there when the scouts were there, and they just kept coming back. And, you know, when I got to be my junior year, after I made up in my mind, man, I think I could be a draft pick. I knew when I went there, man, I wanted to be on point, and I had a really good year that year. I think I batted like 500 for the year. Had a really good year. So that was the thing for me, is that tournament was pretty big going to.
Now, did that New York Mets scout, did he go there every year?
Yeah, I seen him. I would see him every year. He wave at me, and then, you know, they started coming frequently. You know, after my junior year, my senior year, they were going a lot of places, and some of them helped me out. Man, we played in Wichita Falls one time. Man, I came up to bat, and, you know, of course they knew who I was, and every pitch was strike. I mean, they was throwing the ball 3 feet outside. You know, and I'm like, man, I'm looking bad. I'm striking out all these guys, and you know, they come up to me and say, hey, man, don't worry about that. We see what's going on. So it made me relax a little bit more and understand, okay, they see what's going on, so I don't have to try to swing at bad pitches and all of that to get noticed on that day.
Now, when you're playing both football and basketball, was there ever a time that you're at your house and you thought, man, at some point in time, I'm going to have to choose which sport to continue playing? Or were you just – at that age and that time, you're just in a wait-and-see mode?
No, I never even thought about it. It
really?
was just, that's what you did. That's what we did growing up. I mean, you know, you play football when it's football, basketball when it's basketball, baseball when it was baseball. You know, that's just how we did. You know, in the summer, I mean, we played every sport every day. You know, in the mornings it might have been football. In the afternoons it was basketball. If it got too hot, we took a break. In the afternoons we played baseball. Yeah. That's just what we did, you know. And so when we went through the sports, I mean, I loved them all, so there was no me thinking I was going to quit, you know. And my senior year, me and the coach had a little disagreement in basketball. You know, he kind of told me he didn't need me to win a game, and I was like, well, I'm wasting my time in basketball, so I don't need to play basketball then, you know. And I quit, and, you know, they talked to my parents, and I came back and played. But at that time, I knew, hey, man, baseball was probably going to be baseball and football. I'm not tall enough to play basketball. You know, although I loved it, I wasn't tall enough. So I just figured football and baseball was going to be my thing there.
Now, I want to touch on something that you talked about actually going outside in the summer and actually playing, because I don't think that happens at all.
I got so many whoopings. You know, I couldn't wait for my mom to go to work at 6:45. The sun came up. I was out the door. I wasn't supposed to be, But I was out the door, man. We did that all day.
Yeah.
That's all we did all day long, man. And everybody was out there. It wasn't no 10 and under game. It was
it's everybody playing.
Everybody, we was playing one time, and I throw a pitch. I was pitching, man. Some big dude hit a ball back up the middle. I hear everybody say, "Look out!" Of course, you turn around, ball hit me right in the eye, and I walk home, put a sack of beans on it, and next day you right back out there doing the same thing. That's how I learned to compete. Playing with high school kids. I tell people today, I remember the day I decided I'm not going to be a punk on the sports field. We playing football.
Yeah, tell us about that.
We playing football. I was about 8 years old, man, 8 or 9. We playing football. High school kid breaks down the field. I'm standing there, and I remember thinking, man, he's going to run over me. I said, but if I try to tackle him, all these big kids going to like me, So he's running, and in my mind, I just lit him up, man. I just, boom, and I hit him, and I held on. And when I opened my eyes, he was dragging me, and he was just laughing. I was hanging on his leg, and he's dragging me down the field, just laughing. But after that day, all the big kids wanted me on their team. I got their respect. And, I think growing up in a smaller town, you could be able to do that. And at a younger age, you find out where you at. I had all my friends out there, and you start seeing you're a little bit different. The guys around you start understanding. Even your friends know,
oh, yeah,
he's a little bit different. He might, he's good, but he's a little crazy too.
That always works, though.
That always works.
That always works. To answer that question, yeah, Beth, I saw that, and welcome to the show also, Beth. Beth says her neighborhood is full of kids playing all day, every day. Man, that's actually pretty good. That's not in my neighborhood. I gotta be honest, and that's the reason when somebody's always talking about whenever it was when they were growing up that they played all day outside. I hated being inside.
Oh yeah.
But we didn't have the video games. We didn't have all the stuff that's going on right now. But man,
even now I do my sport camp in the summer, and I make it at a price. People always asking you, your stuff is cheap. This daycare. I said, no, I have it cheap so kids can afford to come. Mm-hmm. And it makes me smile to see we do stuff, but to see them out on the field playing by themselves, playing wiffle ball, playing soccer, playing all these different sports, just playing. And I think that's more important for a lot of these kids to get out there and run and play in the summer. And because you learn more out there just playing around, you learn about yourself and everything. So I love seeing kids out on the field, open field, just playing football, whatever it is, just out there playing, getting mad at each other and, having to come back and apologize and then keep playing. I love seeing that. That's how I grew up, and I love seeing kids out there doing that.
Yeah, and that's how I grew. How about you, Julio? Is that what you did? Okay. Yeah, I just, one of my thing about the kids nowadays, and I'm only speaking from where I live at. Yeah, they're outside, but they're not outside like all the time. I mean, I remember, my mom yelling, opening up the door, yelling, "Stab!" And then I would start running home, and it'd be dark, or right before the little terrible park street lights would come on, right?
Your mom yelled. My mom didn't yell.
Yeah, she would yell.
Them street lights, boy.
Well, because I didn't want to come in and then yell, and then everybody's mom would start yelling, everybody start going, and then like the next morning, I'm talking, I would wake up, maybe we wouldn't even eat breakfast, and start running, let's play or let's do whatever. And so I know times are different now, but I still think, now, it doesn't happen now because of all the craziness that's going out. But I got to believe that craziness was still there. It just wasn't it wasn't mentioned or it wasn't talked about or.
Well, I think anytime you have a large group of kids, then you kind of do away with that.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah,
you don't have that because we always ran in packs.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
When I was growing up, I don't ever remember walking too far by myself. If I went someplace by myself, I might pick up 2 or 3 friends on the way to where I was going. They say, okay, I'm gonna go, so I think just being together all the time, you kind of did away with that. I'm a small town man. We always go, hey man, you knew the crazies in town, man. We had a lot of them walk around town, so you knew them, man. We had one guy used to push a cart, man, and never bothered anybody, but man, he would hit you with a rock with a slingshot, man.
Slingshot. I hadn't heard that in a long time.
Man.
And you know what's funny is because we were driving in the neighborhood the other day, and there's no kids outside. Now I understand now it's with the COVID-19 and stuff, but I remember growing up, and I would always see a pack of dogs just chilling, just going from street to street. Man, I haven't seen that in years. Have you seen that, Who That Birthday Boy?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
you're right.
I used to remember just dogs, man, just chilling, just like 4 or 5, just where are they going? But they were just going. They were just going somewhere. Nowadays, man, all one phone call, man, all those 5 dogs are picked up. And they're all put to sleep.
Man, but I've seen a lot more people out now for some reason. It feels like
of course, yeah, there is.
Well, yeah. The state's, for all intents and purposes, is already open. I mean, traffic on the freeway would dictate that. So I mean, but we'll see what happens, man. Okay, so you're playing. Let's go to your senior year. Okay, football season, great football season, mediocre, okay. How was it?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, we was 3-7.
Okay.
The worst feeling when you got people that I grew up with that play the game, and a lot of the towns around there, we beat them. And we get to high school, and all of a sudden, politics come into play. And now we trying to get one person a scholarship, which wasn't me. I already had mine from what I did my junior year playing defense, so it was kind of like that was a foregone conclusion. But they trying to get our quarterback a scholarship, so we kind of sucked at that. They took all our defensive players and put them on offense, and we had a great offense. We couldn't stop anybody. We played Midland League. They had 4 running backs, 4, with over 100 yards rushing. 4.
Wow.
And they had like 500 yards total, and I think all of it was rushing except, like 10 yards. And,
that's funny.
Yeah, my baseball coach, he had quit coaching baseball after my freshman year. We had a new coach. So, I would just go stand by him on the sideline and just look upside his head, while the game's going on. I'm on offense. I just sit there and look at him. And then one day he just got so mad, he just put me in the game. And the head coach sees me out there and pulls me off the field and everything. So that didn't go good. Basketball, we had a really good basketball team. We were ranked 2nd in the region around here behind Fort Worth, Dunbar.
Right.
And we went 23-7. We didn't even make the playoffs that year.
Well, back then only 2 schools went, right?
2 schools
First and
made
second
it.
is none of this. First 5, first 20, only the first 2 made it.
It's one of the worst losses I ever had. We're beating a team that we got to beat to make the playoffs, and we're killing in the first half. And we're just, man, I'm on fire. I got 12 points in the first quarter. We're just balling. And we're on the free throw line, and I tell the guy beside me, and I said, hey, man, we're going to beat y'all. I mean, he just calmly looked at me and goes, you know what? The year before, y'all was beating us, and we beat y'all. He said, last year, y'all was beating us, and we beat y'all. And we're going to beat y'all again this year. So I'm on the free throw line, and I start thinking. I'm, thinking really hard. I'm like, you know what? He right. And, man, this guy did it 2 years in a row. We're winning. 3 seconds left. We turn the ball over. It's rolling. He picks it up at half court, chunks it, none but net. 3 points. We lose by a point.
Dang.
So we get
to
– yeah, it was terrible. It was a terrible loss because we was blowing them out, and our coach takes the starters out with 3 minutes to go. We're winning by 13 points and lets the game get down to 3 points and puts us back in the game, and we lose. So that was heartbreaking. Then we come to baseball. We got a new baseball coach when I was a sophomore, Fred Oliver, who's in the high school coaching Hall of Fame. And he was really good guy, we get there. We have a pretty good team. We're looking forward to it. And we have a really good year, and we end up making the playoffs. And we were looking forward to play Abilene Cooper in the playoffs that year. They had the number 1 team in the nation. We had played them earlier in their tournament, and they beat us on a home run that our center fielder caught and dropped it over the fence. 2-run shot. We're winning by 1 in the last inning. He drops the ball over the fence. They beat us. And so we're chomping. We want to play them in the playoffs. Of course, Lubbock Monterey, I don't know if y'all know.
Yeah, I know who
Lubbock
they are.
Monterey. They had one district like 40 years in a row or something up there. So we knew we wasn't probably going to win district. But we get a chance to play them in the playoffs. Actually, we ended up playing Midland High, Midland Lee, and we ended up beating them, and we go to the third round, and we lose to DeSoto that year. And the Midland Lee coach was all mad because he said Abilene lost to them twice, so they wouldn't have to play us in the playoffs. They ended up winning state. Abilene won state back-to-back, and they lost 2 district games.
Wow.
So my senior year, I had a pretty good year. I had doing well. Had a good group of guys, man, that we still really close to this day. I had, I don't know if y'all heard about the home run I hit in Midland. It's on the back of the card. That's where I usually get a lot of people remember the card I had, the number 1 pick card I had. It said that the home run was like 545 feet.
Did you see it?
Was it?
Did you watch it?
I watched it. I'm gonna tell you what happened, and this is no joke, man. My teammates kept this a secret for 20 years. 20 years, they never told anybody. We get to Abilene, and they're doing construction on the field. Amarillo. They're doing construction on the field. We got to go to the restroom over there, but you got to walk a long way to get to the restroom. So I decided I'm not going to go. I'll wait till later. So things go, we're warming up, game starts, still didn't go to the restroom. I'm having the first at bat, I hit a double off the wall, almost hit a home run. The next at bat, I hit another one. So I'm 2 for 2, got like 4 stolen bases. So I'm having a great game. I'm in center field. All of a sudden, I got to go to the restroom. We have no outs. And I tell the left fielder, I said, man, I got to go to the restroom. He goes, oh, man, you can hold it. You can hold it. And I said, okay. So we get 1 out. And I'm telling him, I'm talking, he's laughing. I said, man, I got to go to the restroom bad. He said, man, just turn around. Well, their field was 500 feet to center field, and all they did was connect. Bell Street is a 6-lane highway, main highway that goes right by the school. So I said, man, there's too many cars out here. I can't do that. So we get 2 outs, and I'm telling him, man, I got to go bad. I got to go bad. I don't know if I'm going to make it. And he goes, man, you can make it. You can make it. So he gets 2 strikes on the batter, and the guy fouls off like 3 balls. And I'm out there crying, and I'm like, and all of a sudden I told him, I said, I can't hold it, man. I'm pissing on myself. So he's dying laughing out there, and I'm just standing out there in center field like, man, I can't believe this happened to me. So we get the 3rd out. I think I almost beat the second baseman off the field. So I sprint off the field, and I go in there. We're laughing, and they're trying to come up with a way so it doesn't look bad. Now, Amarillo High, they're snobbish. This is the worst crowd to have this happen in front of. So they put water all over my jersey, pants, to make it look like it blends in. And my coach goes, oh, Willie, you can't tell. And I'm like, all right, I'm feeling pretty good. So I'm on deck, and I get ready to go up to bat to walk on their side, and somebody yells, hey, Willie, are you potty trained yet? And I just look at my coach like, man, you lied to me, man. So I get in the box. Now, you got to take it. I've already had a great day. I'm having a great day already. And this is when you can take a start out and bring a starter back. Yeah. The starter they brought in, I had lit him up already. They took him out. We were ahead. They bring him back because they come back within 1 or 2 runs, so they bring him back in the game. So I come up to bat, and they call strike 1. The ball was high, and he called strike 1. So I step out the box. Another pitch is low. Guy calls strike 2. I step out the box. I'm looking at the coach. He says, hey, don't worry about it. All of a sudden, the catcher stands up to throw the ball back. He goes, hey, throw him a fastball. He can't hit it. And I just kind of got stunned. And I'm thinking in my mind, man, do this dude read the paper? I mean, he must not know who I am. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, and the dude threw about 88. So I get ready to get in the box, and I'm thinking, if he throws me a fastball right here, I'm going to swing as hard as I possibly can. So I had a little leg kick in high school, so he rears up, and I go with the softball leg kick, man. My leg kick is so high, and he throws a fastball, and when I hit it, before I even took a step out of the box, I hit it to right center. The wind was blowing across. Before I even took a step out of the box, it was gone. I mean, it went across the 6-lane highway, and there was a space, and it went into this backyard. And as I'm running around the field, I get past second base, and I'm running towards their crowd, and they're all bending down, bowing down. So that was a great moment for me in high school. So we had a good year that year, man. Bunch of good group of guys, and I think that's a great thing about baseball is growing up in a small town.
Right.
You play with the same kids most of your whole life, and you build that camaraderie with them. And we went further than anybody ever had in our town in the playoffs. So that's something we always have together.
No. So during your senior year, so all the scouts are already there, correct?
Yeah, they were there all the time watching. I wore glasses, so I'd catch guys behind me, like trying to look through my glasses. And one time I fell playing with some kids in my front yard, and we were playing football, and they tried to tackle me, and I got ready to fall, and I tried to brace myself from landing on them, and I hyperextended my arm. So, my coach was like, man, there's scouts there. They can't know, so it's hot. I got on sleeves, and I got thing to keep my arm from extending, so I got to try to bat with that. So they were there. They noticed everything. You noticed them watching you, how you walk, how you carry yourself, and all that, how you are with your teammates when you struggle, all that stuff. I could see, and it was great. I had great teammates, man. They never treated me any different, and everything. So they made it a lot easier for me to handle that.
Now, so after your senior season, did you have any individual team workouts? Was it allowed back then? I can't remember.
I had one. I ran after a game. I ran a 64. I think it was the White Sox, and then I went to a workout for the Reds. Okay. It was one of those. It rained. We went to Lubbock. It rained, and man, the dude came in and he said we threw, and then we went in the cage. And this is what I tell kids: you got to learn to be able to perform when the spotlight's there, because you might not get another chance. Right. I got in the cage, and he said, hey, hit one to left, and I hit it to left. He said, hit it back up the middle. I hit one back up the middle. He said, hit it to right. I hit it to right. He said, get out the cage. That's all he needed to see, how much back control I had. He said, get out the cage. And that was it,
3 swings.
3 swings and get out the cage, And I could tell he liked me because everything he did, he, at the end, he kept mentioning my name, so he didn't really talk to me that much at the time. He just mentioned, hey, he had the best throwing time and, the hitting and all of that stuff. So I kind of felt like he liked me. And so, when it got closer to the draft, teams start coming around and you're doing all the eye tests. And,
right.
Taking the test they have, answering all the questionnaire, And me from a small town, I don't know what money, that type of money, they ask you, how much money you think you'll sign for, and I put like 300,000. I don't know. I put a number down. The guy's like, you think you could really get that? I said, I don't know. Hey, 300, whatever, it sounded pretty good to me. So just doing all of that was, going through that.
Now, okay, so you're done with your senior year. You're doing maybe some team workouts and all that stuff. At any point in time, did you know or did you think you could be a first-round draft pick?
It was because there was so many scouts coming. It's cross-checkers there.
Right.
So
once the cross-checkers get there, then.
Yeah. Once they started showing up, they showed up my junior year. cross-checkers started coming. So after my junior year, I had a really good junior year, really good playoffs when they was there. So after they showed up, you kind of knew, okay, I'm pretty close, you know. I just got to go out and perform my senior year. I can't drop off. And if I didn't drop off, that was a good possibility. And at the time, it wasn't too much pressure because, man, I love football. And, you know, I was going to go to Oklahoma. So either way, you know.
Great fallback plan.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I wanted to go play baseball for Arizona State. You know, I had went there for a basketball tournament. That's where I wanted to go. And I signed to go to Oklahoma. And then, you know, the next day I got a letter from Arizona State offering me a full ride for baseball, and I was sick, you know, but couldn't change it at that point. Now,
okay, so the draft is coming up. The draft happens. Okay, so back then, take us back to 88. The draft, it's not televised, or was how I can't remember. It wasn't televised, right? I think I remember reading about it in the paper, and there was another way, but I can't remember.
I don't know if it was internet.
Nah, it was something.
Or radio.
I think it was radio.
Because, you know, everybody called you. So they actually called to the school, and they pulled me out of class, and then they told me, hey, you got drafted, you know, and then everything becomes surreal. You know, you just kind of like, oh, man, you know. And then, of course, all your friends think you're in the big leagues, you know. You know, they just telling you, oh, you're going to be with this guy and that guy. And so, you know, and I got to go. I go to Lubbock to do an interview on TV, and it's just kind of going through this. It really hadn't dawned on me yet. You know, the night before, I had went to dinner with the scout from the Astros and Reggie Waller, who was another assistant, you know, hitting guy. And I had went to dinner with them, so I didn't think anything that they were going to draft me at all. They never said anything. They just took me to dinner, and we talked, and they brought me back home, you know. And but I didn't think they was going to draft me.
Now, when they took you out of school, or excuse me, when they took you out of class, where'd they take you, the principal's office or the office, or where'd you get the news at? You know, you just got drafted in the first round.
They took me down to the office.
To the office?
You know, and that wasn't a great, you know, I knew the draft was that day, but I'm thinking, man, did I do something? You know, I mean, that's back when you used to get the board,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
So I'm like, I don't think I did nothing, you know, lately. I haven't done anything wrong. So, you know, and when I got in there, they told me that they had drafted me 7th overall.
Nice. 7th overall. What do you think about that, Junior?
Man, that's crazy. That's got to feel surreal being a high school kid, getting pulled out of class, not knowing what you're going to the office for. Then they just hit you with the, hey, you're the 7th pick, bro. What was your initial reaction, though? Like, were you kind of like starstruck, shocked?
Once they told you.
You know?
It was starstruck, shocked, you know, like, oh, man, this really happened. You know, this is something I said, oh, I could do this, but you don't know. And then, you know, you start reading a lot of stuff, you know, and this is what I tell people when it comes to the draft, and these kids don't understand. Everybody loves you in January, February, March. You're the best baseball player around. You get to April, you start hearing a little bit of your negative. You get to May, you start hearing a lot more of the negative stuff. I was reading a magazine, high school magazine or something, and some just said, go to the back. And I went to the back, and they had a little write-up on me back there. And it said, well, they don't know because his glasses might be too thick. He can't see, you know. And I'm thinking, wow, my glasses ain't that thick, you know. But I had never heard that before until then. So, you know, a lot of these kids don't make the necessary adjustments that they need to make because they think they're okay. And they don't realize that as you get closer to the draft, man, people look for ways to knock you down so they can save some money on you. Yeah. And
of course.
So I started seeing that, and then, you know, it was all great. It was a dream come true. Man, I actually did it, but you don't know what's coming next. That's the thing. I didn't know what was coming next. So it's like, okay, what's the next thing? Yeah. And, you know, I had an agent at the time, an advisor had started coming, and You know, and I think that's another way man, it's a pretty good thing you're going to get in the first round because, I had Scott Boras. So when he shows up, at the time, he had the guy before me. He had pushed the envelope for draft money. So you start knowing that they know guys that's going to be in the top round. So once he showed up, started talking to me, I kind of, okay, this is a real possibility.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think back on Scott Boras because he was he didn't have his own agency back then, right? Man, I'm trying to remember if he worked for somebody or not. I can't remember.
I think the year before he started doing it on his own, where he started going after the number one picks.
Okay,
he was
still doing it.
Target, yeah,
and still doing it.
Yeah, he targeted the number one picks. A friend of mine, Ryan Bowen, I think he was a year before me. He had him too.
Did he?
So it kind of that was his thing.
Okay, yeah, and he's still doing it, doing a good job of it as well. Okay, so you signed. Where do you start off at? Did you go to what was back then? Cocoa Beach?
No, it was Kissimmee. When I signed, I held out.
Okay.
So I signed late in the summer. So they sent me to Osceola to be with the high A team.
Okay.
Just to kind of, they had a really good team. They had they had an awesome team, man. I think they broke the minor league record for stolen bases that year. So I got a chance to go and sit with those guys and watch how they played and everything for a couple months, about 2 months, and then I went to instructional league.
Okay. So you stayed there?
Yeah, I stayed there. I came home for a couple, and then I went back and went to instructional league and sucked. Having a wooden bat in your hand every day, it's different.
Yeah.
These people playing these little tournaments, and they like, but when it's in your hand every day, it's different.
It's a lot different.
You're getting blisters, and you gotta play with blisters and bleeding and all of that stuff, and it was totally different. I think I hit one ball out of the infield in instruction league. For 6 weeks, I hit one ball out of the infield. I had everybody trying to tell me what to do. I mean, this guy saying, hey, you need to hit like this. And I just got so confused. I didn't even know what I was doing. You got everybody trying to tell you what to do. And then when it's funny, now when you start struggling, then nobody wants to, now you're on your own because this coach don't want to say I'm the one who caused him to struggle. So everybody backs off, and then now you're there. I was there to kind of try to figure this out on my own, and I couldn't do it, That's why I tell people, don't go for these dudes. Oh, man, I play pro baseball. Man, that don't mean nothing. If you play rookie ball, you're down there with a bunch of Dominicans who can't talk English. A few high school guys, they don't know nothing. Y'all all trying to figure stuff out for yourself. Because when I was there, I didn't know anything. I was just trying to figure stuff out for myself and get by. My first year of spring training, they put me with the low A team. They told me, hey, you probably going to be in rookie ball. I couldn't argue with them because I sucked in the instruction league. He said, you're probably going to be in rookie ball, but we're going to put you on a high A. You know how they do. They put everybody up until everything starts to send people down, and they start dropping you. So I was in the low A, and Jim Coveney was the manager there. And, he made me work. When you're the best around, you work, but you don't know what kind of work it takes to get to the next level. I mean, you do your thing, and you've always had success. So I didn't know. I mean, that's the first time I ever struggled at anything in my life when I was down there. I had no clue what to do, how to work out of it, nothing. And, man, he just started, and we'd play a game, spring training game at 1 o'clock.
Hot as hell.
Man, 3:30, 4 o'clock. I'm thinking I'm supposed to go shower. He's like, Ansley, come on, let's go to the cage. And then he's like, hey, I'll see you in the morning. We need to hit in the morning. I'm like, all right, what time? Hey, 6:30. So the sun ain't even up. I'm in the cage hitting, and I'm doing it before games, after games, and going. And man, it was just like I had the best spring training I ever had in my life. I was just on fire. I was hitting everything. We played a high A team, man. I was hitting rockets off of them, and man, I did so well. They allowed me to go to a big league spring training game, and Art Howe was the manager, and man, that was, for me, I'm just looking around, and man, I'm seeing Biggio, these guys, Eric Anthony, and I'm just like, and of course, you start realizing how different they treat them than you.
That goes without saying.
Oh, yeah, you're there, and man, I got people yelling at me because Eric Anthony was a big thing then, you know. As a rookie, he was a big thing, and, I clearly have Ansley on the back of my jersey, and I got all these people, Eric Anthony, can you please sign my card? That's not me, man. So I'm there at Boston, and you get a taste of that as a young guy. I got to get in the game, and Art Howe told me, hey, man, go in and steal second. So I get out there, second pitch, I take off, boom, I steal second. And when we get the third out, I'll run off the field, and they're laughing. And he said, I was just joking.
Hey, but you're trying to impress him, huh?
Oh, yeah, you said steal it, so let me see if I can go steal it,
Who'd you steal it off of? Do you remember?
I don't remember who it was. I don't even, man, when he said go in, I don't even remember running across the field. I just remember getting to first base and running to stealing second base. That's it.
Damn.
Before that, Roger Clemens was on the mound before, and, this is, at the time, I don't even know if I'm 19 yet, but I'm seeing all of this stuff up front that I never seen, and, Roger Clemens out there, and Eric Anthony comes up to bat, and Roger Clemens just gets the ball back, and he just like does him like this. Here comes a fastball. He, boom, strike one. And he gets the ball back. He does it again. Boom, strike two. This dude hit 40-some home runs, and he just abusing him as a rookie. And he throws 3 fastballs by him and just looks at him and walks off the mound. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey, so when you were going, okay, in Astro folklore, Ty Gainey. Did you ever have any interaction with him? You remember Ty Gainey?
I just heard an awful lot about him.
Okay, because when I was growing up, Ty Gainey, Cameron Drew.
I talked to Cameron Drew a lot.
He's
a really cool dude, man. He was in there. He'd always talk to you, man. The dude could sing.
Really?
Oh,
because
yeah,
I heard
he had
about
a
him.
soulful voice.
Really?
Oh,
he was
man.
about 6'4", 6'5"? He was a big dude, right? Batted from the left side.
Batted from the left side.
Man, I'm
His
still
only
waiting for
knock
him.
was just he hit soft 300s. That's what they used to say. But the dude could hit. You know, he always hit. I just remember him sitting on the table in the training room singing because my buddy was like, hey, man, come listen. This dude could sing. So he's singing and talking. And, he had a bad injury. I don't know if you remember. He blew his knee out. And he told me that, man, they went in to fix his knee. Mm-hmm. And when they opened it up, it was a lot worse than they thought.
Really?
He said the doctor closed it back up, fixed what he told him, closed it back up, sent him on his way. And he kept having problems with the knee. He said they didn't tell him about the other stuff that was wrong with his knee.
Really?
And that kind of got him right there that, he just never recovered from that knee injury. But the dude was smooth.
Yeah, because I remember, for when I was a kid, I remember, okay, this is the year Ty Gainey's coming up. This is the year Cameron Drew's coming up. And I can't remember who the other ones were. Maybe Tuffy Rhodes. Was it Tuffy Rhodes? Was it Tuffy Rhodes?
He was right in there because I played with him in AA.
Okay.
When I got sent up to AA, he was on the AA team.
Okay.
So he was, they compared him a little bit to Tony Gwynn, how he swung the bat.
Mm-hmm. From the left side as well.
So, yeah, I got to know him really good, man.
Okay.
He's a really good guy, Cincinnati guy.
You got to be an Astro fan for the names I'm bringing up right now.
Oh, yeah, Tuffy. A lot of, don't remember he set the record in Japan for home runs.
Yep, he did. And then I think when he was with the Cubs on opening day, he had 3 or 4 home runs.
3 jacks off Doc Gooden.
Yeah,
3
on
off
opening
Doc.
day.
Wow.
Yeah, with the Cubs.
He could never stick. Don't know why. I'm going to tell you, during that time, the best baseball player, I tell anybody, the best baseball player I ever seen in my life was Trinidad Hubbard.
Oh, okay. Hey, doesn't he live in Houston?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
the
yeah.
guy's the best baseball player I seen.
Yeah.
I'm talking, could hit. He could
He
play.
was always. I mean, he was always put together.
Man, yeah, he knew it too.
Yeah.
But the guy could play any position on the field, and you wouldn't lose anything. He could play outfield. He could catch. I mean, he just amazed me how he could play short, and it wasn't no drop off. I mean, when we was in AA, Eusebio wasn't catching. They throw him back there. Man, he could catch. He could do everything. Hit. He would go to big league camp and hit every year, 345, and.
Yeah.
You know, for some reason he just couldn't stick, but I never could. And honestly, when I was coming through, I looked at him and I said, "Man, if that dude can't make it to the big leagues, I'm not gonna do it." You know, because he could do everything, man. And I just felt like if that guy can't make it, I mean, how hard is it gonna be for me? I'm just an outfielder. This guy can play anywhere on the field.
Yeah, yeah. I remember, man, I think I saw him maybe about 5 years ago. I don't know him, but I mean, I remember when growing up, and I remember him. And somebody told me, "Yeah, man, he lives in Houston." I'm like, "Man, no shit."
Yep.
He's like, "Yeah." And then, so when you brought the name up, I was like, "Damn, yeah." Did Johnny Ray, was he in the system when you were there? He ended up playing second base for the Pirates after the Astros traded him. I don't know if he was there.
See, I don't know. I know him from the Pirates, so
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not
he was with the
sure.
Astros
I remember
before.
hearing his name from the Pirates,
Yeah,
but
he was good,
not
man.
For the Astros,
Yeah.
he was smooth.
Yeah, he was real.
Yeah.
You know who,
That's
who we're
way
talking about?
too.
Nah, it's not that long.
I was born 91.
Oh,
So
okay.
like,
Yeah.
talk to me about 97 and up.
Let professionals talk right now.
Yeah. I remember him from the Pirates.
Yeah, he was good.
smooth.
Yeah, he was smooth. So your time with the Astros. So how long were you with the Astros in the organization?
I played till '94 was my last year in AAA. We ended up winning the PCL that year. Had
Tucson?
a great squad. Yeah.
Okay.
We had a great squad, man. Phil Nevin was there. I think we had 4 guys at the top of the lineup with at least 90 RBIs. James Mouton
Okay.
was there.
He
So
lives in Houston, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We had a good team, man. I was trying to make it, man, but just being there. So I was blessed. I had came off an injury, you know, and things happened where, you know, it seemed like one injury, another, and then I ended up hurting my back, having surgery, trying to come back from that, and you know, it just, you know, I thought I worked hard doing stuff, but man, I watched Kobe Bryant, the Mambas, and listen to what and I realized, man, I just didn't work hard enough. It had nothing to do with, you know, it's just like you see what those guys do. And I told somebody, I wish I would have had that type of mentor when I was coming up to give you that type of work ethic. But I just realized, man, I didn't know how to work like that. I didn't know, you know, so that's part of the problem when you see, I think why a lot of number 1 picks don't make it, because they haven't struggled at anything when it comes to athletics. And then when you get on the pro baseball, man, it's hard.
Right.
Man, it's dealing with being away from home. I never ate fast food when I was growing up. My mama cooked every day. Man, eating a Whopper, I got to where I couldn't eat another Whopper, nothing. I got shut down because I lost 10 pounds in a week because I just couldn't eat nothing else. This food's terrible. I was used to my mom's cooking. I couldn't eat, and I lost 10 pounds. And you know, they weigh us every day, and they said, "Hey, you got to shut it down. There's something wrong." I was like, "Yeah, because this food's terrible. I'm not used to eating hamburgers and stuff every day."
It's the opposite now.
Oh, yeah.
Give a whole cooked meal, they start getting sick. Like,
Yeah. So
I want to ask you a question because you brought up Phil Nevin. You ever saw him without the glasses? Because I remember him at Cal State Fulton just with the sunglasses. I don't think I've ever seen him without the glasses.
he wore them
just
an
saying.
awful lot.
Okay.
Now that you mention that, I never really thought about it, but he did have them on a lot, you know.
Yeah, because I remember when he was at the College World Series, and he had the Oakleys on. I was like, man, he looks actually pretty cool. And then the Astros drafted him. Then I don't think I've ever seen him without the sunglasses.
He wore them all the time. He's a nice guy, man. I remember one time we was in AAA and we're there, and you know, he couldn't stay out the stands looking at the girls, you know. So he's always looking in the stands, and I'm playing left field, and I'm out there, and somebody caught his eye in the stands between pitches, and he just like, And I'm like, hey, Phil, look out. And pitcher's getting ready to throw it. He turned around and hit a ground ball to him. He caught the ball, threw it to first. And, you know, he's like, you know, we get back in. He's like, hey, man, thank you. You know?
Well, there's a lot of that in Florida. So,
oh, yeah. We was in Tucson.
So even worse.
We was in
even
Tucson.
worse.
Yeah, yeah. I was in Tucson one time. I was playing catch with the outfielder. And all of a sudden, I felt somebody behind me. I'm in the outfield, so I felt somebody behind me, and I get scared, and I turn around. It's a girl standing there. Was trying to give me something off her hair or something, and I'm like, this is crazy. I mean, I thought I was, I mean, you know, I wasn't having the greatest year, so I'm thinking, man, somebody done got fed up with me, man. You know, take me out.
Oh, man. So after that time, did you know it was time to stop playing?
Yeah, I played, and I went to Mexico. Well, I ended up, when I got released from the Astros, which, you know, anytime you get fired or whatever from a job, it's tough, you know. But when I got released, you know, it was trying to figure out what you're going to do in life. And then I went home, you know. And I was a little bitter with the Astros on how they did things, you know, because at the time, you know, I was doing everything. I was the first one there. I was the last one to leave. I made sure I was doing that. I was hitting early in the morning, in the afternoons, man. And, you know, even before the big league guys came, when I got sent down I was in big league camp. So when I got sent down to minor league camps, I was still doing it. You know, I was out there before all those guys and, you know, doing everything I possibly could. And then, you know, the minor league guys released me. As soon as I got sent down, they released me. Well, they waited until, you know, when every team sets their rosters.
Right.
And you get released, that's tough because there's no way to pick up any jobs unless somebody gets hurt. And so when that happened, came home. I had moved to Houston, so I was living here and got a tryout with the Brewers. And I went there, and, man, that's when the Brewers started doing that old crazy kicking warm-ups. I'd never done that before in my life. They out there kicking and going, but they didn't run. I mean, I was a speed guy, so I got to get my legs loose. They just did all that kicking, and they went in the drill. So the first ball they hit me, I took off sprinting, and I strained my hamstring. And so I made it through the day, and the guy was like, hey, man, we like you. We think you're better than some guys we got in AAA, you know, so only thing is just don't get hurt. And I'm thinking, man. So I grinded out the whole week, and they tell me Saturday they're going to send me to AA until the AAA job opens up. And, you know, halfway through the game, I just couldn't do it anymore, and I had to tell the guy, look, man, my hamstrings blown up. And they took me to the doctor and said, it's not pulled, it's just strained. Give me 2 weeks. Give you 2 weeks. When you're able to run, we'll sign you. So about a week and a half, I'm sprinting. I go home. I'm feeling good, man. I'm getting ready to call my agent. Like, hey, man, I'm ready. I sit down. I turn on Sports Center, and they say, hey, the Milwaukee Brewers have sent down shortstop Pat Listash to the minor leagues to learn how to become an outfielder. Of course, you know, if he gets sent down, this guy gets sent down, there goes your job. So after that, I got a job to go to Mexico, and that was a whole different experience getting down there. I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed Mexico. End up having a good half a season down there, went back and was hitting like 345. I got my speed back, man, and lost a lot of weight, man. They was calling me Flacco down there. That was my nickname. I'm just rolling, and I'm thinking, I'm going to get back to the league. And then the peso went bad, and I was making like $5,000 a month at the time down there. And
Cash money,
man. They paying for everything. And so it was pretty good, you know. And then peso goes bad, and then they say, man, we looking for a different type hitter, you know. So I get released from that team, and we get ready to play them, and the different type player was a guy that was making not even half of what I was making down there. So, and while I was there, man, I just seen guys like 35 still playing. I just said, man, I don't want that to be me. I got a wife, kid. I need to go back home and start trying to figure this thing out and get a real job and go, because I don't want to be down here at 35 still trying to play baseball in the Mexican League. I just don't want to do that, be away from my family. I don't want to do that.
And so after that, that's when you called it quits?
Yeah, that's when I said, nah, it's time for
Was
me
it hard?
to do something else.
Was it hard for you?
Man, at the time, no.
Okay.
At the time, it wasn't because I just knew that I didn't want to do that. Then about a month or 2 months after that, then it's all being a number one pick and all this stuff. You go through this, being a failure. You got to deal with all of that. Man, I didn't make it. I thought I was there. I was close, to making it. And, that year when I was in AAA, Luis Gonzalez always got off to a slow start. So they said, hey, man, if he gets off to a slow start this year, we're going to make a move. So I'm thinking, man, I'm a number one pick. I'm an outfielder. Man, I got to start off hot. I was hitting like 300 in AAA. I'm going, and I'm like, yeah, man, it's there. And then baseball and life happens. When you're not the man anymore, the next number one pick is the man.
Right.
All of a sudden, they move Phil Nevin to the outfield.
Right.
He's a third baseman now. He's moved to the outfield. So now I got to deal with knowing it ain't going to be me.
Right.
It's going to be this guy. And then at the point, I had to make a decision because he was struggling that, man, I could leave this kid out here and let him struggle. And at the time, I wasn't but 20-some years old in AAA. I was one of the youngest guys in there. And I went to him, just talking to him about, man, the advice I was given. Man, stop trying to pull everything, hit the ball to right field, and see what happens. And he started taking off. He stopped trying to pull the ball. He had great power to right center, and he took off. And, I knew when they moved him to the outfield, I knew it's not a chance for me with the Astros to make it to the big leagues. You just start doing what you can, and just having the regrets of not making it, dealing with all of that stuff, man. It took me a while to really deal with that. And then finally get over that. And now it's funny when, I used to have a guy would try to make fun of me and not making it as a number one pick. And I'm like, dude, you're really trying to make fun of me. I was a 7th pick in the draft, and you're trying to make fun of me that I didn't make it. And you didn't even play in high school? Because you say your knee blew out, that's why you didn't play? Okay.
What do you say to that? Now,
just that, it's funny. I used to get mad, and then it started being funny. Like, really? I mean, you're trying to make fun of me and call me a bust when you dream about being where I was.
He would have traded place with you in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat, man. So now it's kind of funny.
Junior would right now.
I'm down.
Now it's kind of funny when people say that, oh, man, you're like, okay, man, great. But then, God works in ways that we don't understand. Then I was able to start saying, you know what? I want everything the reason why I didn't make it, I want to pour that into another kid and see if I can transform him into more than I was and get beyond where I went. Yeah. And so that started being my goal, my mission. When I was there, and this is how I coach and I approach things. We was in the instruction league one year, and the guy that was running instruction league, the coach, whatever, I stopped him on the cart. I sat down and said, hey, man, what I got to do to make it to the big leagues? And he looked at me and he said, swing a heavier bat. And I looked at him and I just said, swing a heavier bat. He goes, yeah, swing a heavier bat. I got off the cart and he drove off, and I knew he was lying. Like, that's it? That's the magical formula, swing a heavier bat? And I knew he was lying to me. I knew at that moment he couldn't tell me the truth.
Yeah.
So that's how I coach. I'm not going to lie to a kid. I'm going to tell you the truth. You can either accept it or move on. Because I wish that's what he would have did to me. I wish he would have told me, hey, man, you suck. You can't do this. You need to lose weight, blah, blah. I wish he would have ran it down to me. And then he would have gave me an option to say, I believe you. I'm going to start doing that. But he didn't give it to me. He just said, swing a heavier bat. I knew he was lying. Yeah. So that's how I approach coaching is I tell kids, man, I'm not going to lie to you. It might hurt, but you're gonna give a chance to make a decision to whether you're gonna believe what I say and then start working at it, or you're gonna quit and say you don't know what you're talking about and go the other way. But you'll never be able to leave my team and get to high school and say, Coach Ansley didn't tell me that. Yeah. And so that's kind of how I approach how I do things as a coach.
Okay, so you're done. You're okay with not playing anymore. So what do you start doing? You're in Houston. You don't start coaching right away, or what do you do?
Man,
because we're going to get to Rising Stars here in a little while. And
I'm just trying to live, man. I'm like, there's no more baseball, and I got to work. I got to find a job. Man, I started off being a security guard because I needed a job. Right. I didn't go to college. I came out of high school. So now I got to live, man. I got to feed my kids. I got kids, so I got to feed them. I just got to start grinding and try to get a job and, keep trying to get better and better and go from this place to that place. And to, that was my whole thing, was to take care of my family. And then you just kind of start moving and meeting people. Right. I met a guy that had a team, and we was the Grays. He said, hey, man, you want to come out and work with the kids, And so I did it, and, I realized that, man, I quit because y'all don't see things the way I do. I mean, I know kids can't have a bad attitude, and at the time, the Grays, we was all black and Hispanic kids back in the day. And this was when Baseball USA still was at the back.
Yeah, John Reese talked about that.
Yeah, they was at the back by when they had the one field. This was before they opened up Baseball USA, and I was there, and man, it was hard, coaching kids, and it was totally different baseball back then. So I got into it a little bit. I stopped, and then I said, you know what? If I do it, I want to do my own thing, so I can coach the way I want to coach.
Okay. Now, when you decided to do that, what came about that? You just, I'm going to go out on my own. I'm going to do all my own stuff. I'm sure it took a while, correct?
Well, I went and I met another guy, and he had a team, and he said, hey, man, we looking for a coach, because he had heard me. I was doing little lessons and stuff. And so I said, okay. So I went out there, and they got these kids. They're 11. Drive out there, and, they're a pretty good team, and they're going, and, and that's the team when I started coaching with Rendon was on.
Okay.
So we were the Thunder, and I started coaching there, and, kind of I was able to do my own thing because the guy gave me that privilege just to do my thing. And so I had them a couple years, and then I just, people started knowing who I was. And then back then, there was only so many teams that had teams after 14. Mm-hmm. So, they would move on, and you drop back down and get you a younger team and start over. So when they got to be 14 to go to high school, then picked up for another team, and then started coaching there and doing some stuff, and just start grinding and being a coach and doing my thing.
Okay, so now let's go to who you're with today, the Rising Stars.
Rising Stars.
How did that come about?
Well, I used to be the Longhorns. I had them for a while, and that even came about where I was coaching. I was doing lessons with a guy, and I had moved home back to Plainview, and I came down here to do a lesson with his son before their World Series, and they had a little team from Santa Fe, country kids, man, Alvin, and he asked me, he said, hey, man, I'll pay you if you stay down here for the week and coach. So I was like, okay, So I stayed down there and coached. It was a AA World Series here in Houston, but, we ended up winning. We won, and then I don't know if you know Fred Martinez.
I don't think so.
Fred, he had the Angels.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I know who you're talking about.
I was coaching them, and I was walking, and he stopped me, and we started talking, and he's like, hey, man, I got a 9U team. We're going to the Elite 32. He said, they don't have a chance to win, but do you want to come coach them? and I'm going to coach my 14. We got a pretty good team, and you can coach them and get them the experience. So I'm like, yeah. Call my wife, say, hey, man, I'm going to Disney next week, so I'm not coming home. So I go to Disney, man, and I'm there, and, man, we started winning. You know, we're playing in the 10 and under at 9, and we winning. And, you know, we get to the semifinal game. And, of course, we're playing a team from Houston, and, I'm stealing bases like crazy. And we're there, and, man, they had a kid that was dealing. And let me tell you this. Me and Fred got into it during the game. Now, we're on the same team. His team losing, so now he coming over there running my stuff. And we had a kid comes out there. We're losing, and you know how it is down there. You have that one throwaway game. You can kind of have that game. And we're getting beat, so we put this kid in and say, hey, man, just give us some innings. Man, this kid's going out there. First pitch he throws, kid hits a line drive off his leg. Oof. I mean, flat, right on his leg. We take him into the dugout, and I said, look, man, I need you to, man, if you can pitch, man, you know. He said, yeah, coach, I can do it. So he went back out there. He started dealing. And we started coming back, and we got down by a run. And then Fred goes, hey, man, don't let him bat. I said, what? He said, don't let him bat. If he bats, we're going to lose. I said, man, this kid took one off the shin, and he went out there and battled when he could have quit. And now you telling me we going to lose if he bat? I said, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to lose because he going to bat. I said, I don't do kids like that. I said, I appreciate the effort. And, you know, the umpire's telling me, I'm at third base. He's in the dugout. The umpire's telling us to, hey, stop it, because we're fussing across the field. At the Elite 32, I walk off the field because I said, I'm not going to be a part of anybody do a kid like that. I can't be a part of it. I walked off and left. And he had to give me a ride home. He had to give me a ride back to the hotel. And the kids got on.
That's a long walk, too.
Oh, and the kids kind of, they told him they needed me back. And so I went back the next day. But I just couldn't. I mean, that's one of my faults is sometimes I go a little long with kids because I try to get them. Sometimes kids need to believe in themselves. And sometimes they might fail. But if you keep letting them try, you know, they'll work it out.
Yeah, they will. So you're with Rising Stars now. Talk to us about your program.
Well, Rising Stars, a friend of mine, Harold Allen, he started Rising Stars up in Dallas. I was doing my own thing, and I said, look, man, I want to go into Rising Stars and use that. So he said, fine. We had been trying to put it together for a while, just never could. So I started this down here. And so what I try to do with my teams is, man, I have tryouts. My tryouts is come, you know, look and see if you like what I do. Don't make no hasty decisions. Check it out. And if you like it, then we can talk about it. I like being an underdog. I like developing kids. I had part of being on a major team that was really good. I hated it. You know, somebody asked me to go coach a major team, 13. We were really good. But it was all the other stuff with parents and all of that stuff. I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. You know, we had a kid went 4 for 4, and he gets one out, and the parents coming down the stands showing him on video what he did. I'm like, dang, he 4 for 5. You know, and it was just a lot of craziness going on, and I just like, man, I don't want to deal with that. I want to deal with kids who want to work hard. Parents understand their kid need to work hard, and that's what I want to do. That's what I love doing, developing. You know, I want to beat the Banditos. I want to beat these teams. I want to take kids who are AA kids, and I want to grow them to be major players there, because I think that's an accomplishment that takes a lot of hard work if you're not going out trying to recruit a lot of better kids all the time. You're just saying, hey, we're gonna go and we're gonna work hard. My 14-year-old team, that's what we did. You know, they were 9 going on 10. We was a bad AA team, and it was like, hey, man, I believe we can make it. We can be. I set a goal for them to say, hey, we want to make the Elite 32. I think we can do it, and we was getting beat bad by AA teams, so I've always had that vision for them. And then, this past fall, we ended up getting that opportunity to do that. And that was just a great thing that we went to Dallas our first year with them, and we were the AA team. We was beating AAA teams and major teams. We ended up making it to the top Final Four down there in the top bracket. We played a team from the Valley. They ended up beating us in that semifinal game, and then come back. In order to go to the Elite 32, we had to play that same team again. We didn't even know it was the same kids. They were big, and then come to find out while we were playing, we was like, oh, man, that's the team that beat us in Dallas. So it was kind of like this great thing that, man, here it is. They beat us there. We got a chance to come back and redeem ourselves. And then it was a great way we did it. We were down 4-0. Those guys were running their mouth. And, of course,
Yeah, we heard about it, right?
Man. Man,
Junior was there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was there. I was there.
Man, they was just running their mouth, and and I'm trying to not to say too much. Man, they was running their mouth, and look at the scoreboard, and shortstops mouthing off, and how baseball goes. It only takes a coach to leave a pitcher in 2 or 3 batters too long, and they left them in, and we made a comeback. I don't know if he told you when I scored on ball 4, I scored 2 guys in the semifinal and the final. I scored my runner from bases loaded, ball 4 to the batter. My runner scored from second base. And I almost had the runner from first score, but the umpire stopped it. And those guys from the Valley didn't like that too well. They didn't like that.
But they need to play, man.
Oh, yeah.
They like talking, though.
Yeah, them Valley people
And learn the
crazy.
rules. I tell people, you got to learn the rules. I have umpires around here. They don't like me because I tell them, there's rules to this game. Follow the rule. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But go by the rules. Don't make it up. The rules are the rules. And if you don't know the rules, don't come at me. I've been doing this too long. You can't come tell me anything. I try to make sure I'm up to date on the new rules and everything. So don't come to me if you don't know the rules. If I don't know the rules, I'm gonna call the umpire and find out. What's the ruling on that? Because there's certain things that don't happen that much that you don't know. But if it happens to me, I try to figure it out and find it out, man. Some of these umpires, I ain't gonna get on umpires too much, but they just don't know the rules.
No, you're 100% correct on that. And as far as the umpires are concerned, select baseball and baseball as a whole is expanding a lot and growing. And man, you just can't find good quality umpires. I mean, it's tough.
And I used to think they was cheating when I was younger. Man, you cheating? They cheating. And then I got a little older and I realized, nah, they just bad.
They trying to get out of there.
They just bad. They having a bad day. So I started approaching things a little bit different with umpires. Man, I kind of got a little calmer with them. But. So that's what I do now. I try to approach it like that now. He's not cheating. He's just bad. Or he's just having a bad day.
Yeah.
He's just having a bad
if you're having a bad day, let's have a great day. I'm going to give you a limited edition Jungle Juice beer from our friends at Carbach. The label has not been made yet. So I want you to take this. You can try it out. And it's limited edition. And we'll take time right now to talk to our sponsors. Frank the Tank, Team 7 Grillers, and Carbach that supplied us with the nice Crawford Bach. And like I said, we got beer for days, so we're going to have different type of beers every week. So every one of our guests is going to be able to try the new beers and stuff like that Carbach's coming out with. So remember, from our friend beer. And our main sponsor, Frank the Tank, Team 7 Griller. So you have it. The can does not have a label. It is Jungle Juice by Carbach, and it will be out soon. So we have the only case in the city right here sitting in the Kate Upton Studios at Union Station. Also, let's talk about our other sponsors, Issa Cookies, for all your treats, cookies, what is it called? Macaroons and all those sweet, delicious desserts. Visit the website www.isacookie.com. Remember to read the website, hit the shop button, and you'll be able to to order that way. No DMs on any other social media. All orders through the website. Also, C4 Bat Company, the best wood bats in the game. I know Steve's working with a new series coming out soon, and that will be exclusive for youth players. So for all the best wood bats, the best machines, and the best customer service, Swing Red Cups, C4 Bat Company. Also, our other sponsor, Ferrari Michelada Mix. We're also gonna have that at all our pop-ups. We are not sipping that tonight, but for anybody that needs Ferrari Michelada Mix, please send us a DM or a website, or hit the DM on the Facebook. I mean, to our other sponsor, Rick Web Design. Guy does phenomenal jobs when he builds websites for all your website needs and much more. Contact Rick Web Design.
Chris Webb. And also our newest sponsor, Senor Spitz. And I'm telling you guys, these are the best sunflower seeds. They are pretty good, dude.
I mean, I'm not playing. I was hoping John could send us another shipment, but for sure we'll have another shipment delivered to the studio next week. I got to say, man, I know that there's a lot of seeds out there. You go to a corner store and, you see what you see. But I got to tell you, Senor Spitz custom flavored sunflower seeds are the best. And there's all tons of flavors. Check them out on Facebook. And the number is 713-470-8888. Contact John Reese. And last but not least, happy birthday to my man Julio. We're eating cake over here. Steve and Coach Willie off camera. We're eating this cake.
The cake was good, man.
The cake was good, but now we're back. And yeah, man. So shout out to our sponsors, man.
Yeah, and Chris Webb with Rick Webb Design.
So now I'm taking my cake break.
He's gonna.
Also, the phone lines are open. I forgot to say that. So now the phone lines are open. You want to talk to Steve? You want to talk to me? You want to talk to a former first-round pick for the Houston Astros? Or if you just want to call and give Julio a happy birthday, the number is going to be posted right now on the comments. And there it is. Phone lines are open, man. Let me get.
Hey, Coach, I got a question for you because, I always find it a joy when you comment on the Houston Area Select Baseball page, because I think a lot of people don't know who you are, and I think they don't know your background, and they try to talk to you about some stuff that, man, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. I'm just going to – they don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? And so I'm reading this stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, man, if he says whatever he's going to say, I think Willie's going to get on him. And then sometimes, man, they serve it up to you, Willie. And then you go in on them, and I'm like, yeah, thank God. And the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of bad information out here right now, okay? And I'm not saying I have the right information, but, man, when you're reading stuff and when you hear people talking, that there's bad information. And so with that, I like it when those conversations happen, and albeit they're on Facebook, but you put somebody in their place. That's funny to me.
Hold on, Steve.
I just think.
Someone.
Oh, hold on.
Hold on, I gotta call her on.
Okay.
Go ahead, John.
Stop, dude. Props to Willie Ansley.
Who's it, John Reese?
Yeah, man, come
Hey,
on,
what's
man.
up? What's up, Coach? What's up,
You know
Coach?
who it is? you know the senior is in the house?
Hey, you know what? I'm waiting for you to come on Restaurant Impossible. That's what I'm waiting on.
Dude, hey, let me tell you something, bro. First of all, my birthday is a week from today. I'm just going to put that out there.
Okay.
The day before my birthday, I'm going to be on Restaurant Impossible. Check it out, the Food Network, 8 p.m.
Okay.
Nice.
It's going to happen, okay?
Are they doing that bad? Because I've been there before. The food's great.
Man, dude.
We'll find out on the show, right?
Let me tell you what I found out about these reality shows, man.
Not true.
It isn't necessarily that the food's bad or anything like that. Like sometimes I think people just call up and they just need that boost or whatever.
Right.
The place was not great, like aesthetically, but the food was fantastic.
Right.
There's no doubt. And the margaritas, they were off the chain.
Yeah.
So, but when I was there for the 2 days, I never got a chance to eat. Seriously, the first day it was such a train wreck that they really didn't even serve anybody. And then the second day I got lucky, got a chance to go back for the grand reopening and stuff like that. And this is how I know I'm probably going to be on TV. They kind of staged a little like, hey, you guys come in, y'all go to the hostess desk, tell her who you are. We're going to film you. We're going to seat you. And then we're going to put you at the bar. So I'm like, okay, we're probably going to be on TV. And so they put us at the bar and we tried to order and they were like, hey, sorry, tonight we're not serving food at the bar. I'm like, God dang, man. I guess I got to drink another margarita.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you a question. When you went to the host, I mean, were you John Reese or were you Senor Spitz? Which one? I mean, what name did you leave?
Here's the deal. I should have used my own name, but I didn't. I was with two other guys. And the funny deal is that these two guys I met the day before at the they always have the first day where everything's a train wreck.
Right.
And then they redo everything. And then the next day they do like the grand reopening. So I met these guys because they were seating everybody four to a table and I was there by myself. So these two guys, and they actually, their dad owns a company that makes, they actually make the cable that suspends the net at Minute Maid Park.
Oh, okay.
So the net that protects the fans, they actually make the cable. Their company makes the cable, right? So I got a chance to talk to them. And so the next day we got a chance to sit together because we were there as a group. So when they sat us, I just used their name. I can't, their name's like Cortez or something like that. So I just used their name because actually our reservation was under them. So I really didn't use my name, but I was like the lead of the group, right? So I like walked up to the hostess table. They were like, yes, sir. Can we have your party name? Yeah. We're Cortez, table of four, and then they sat us down. So, but then they sat us at the bar and we couldn't even eat. So it really wasn't until like 2 or 3 weeks later when my wife and I went, I was like, hey, let's go patronize the place. Cause I was there for the bar, for the restaurant, Impossible. Mm-hmm. And I want to try their food. I didn't get a chance to eat 2 days. And I had pork belly tacos and they were really good, dude. Really good.
Well, good, man. Good to hear from you again, Coach. What do you got for Willie tonight, man? Hello?
What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. I lost you there.
Okay. I said, what do you have for Willie tonight?
Oh, man. Hey, let me tell you something, man. I'm listening, watching the podcasts and everything. And props to Willie, man. I got a lot of respect for him. Like, we don't know each other on a personal level or anything, but I'm digging what I'm hearing from Willie. Willie's so laid back, dude. Like, to me, he's the perfect guy to coach young guys. And from where he's been drafted to the Astros, playing in the big leagues and stuff like that, he's the perfect guy to, kind of mentor young guys. Plus, look, man, I coached at a really high level at a time, and I respect Willie because he wants to take the young guys and develop them. He's not really about, just going out and getting the top players and just throwing them out there and letting them play. He wants to develop guys. He wants to take guys that maybe are the underdogs and develop them into that team that can compete with the top teams and stuff like that. So, I got a lot of props for Willie on that. So.
We're good, man. I'm sure Willie want to add anything to that.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that's what this is about when it comes to youth. Everybody has their lane.
Yeah.
I know my lane. I like the lane that I try to stay in. But I also know there's that other lane. There's too many people out here that's lying to kids and, all this stuff. So, like Steve said, sometimes on the Facebook, I call them out on it because I think parents need to be more educated on what's really going on out here in baseball, because chances are your kid's not going to be that dude that's playing in the major leagues. People don't think how many major league jobs there is as players, and those guys are playing for 10 and 15 years in the big leagues. It's not like every other sport where when you have a draft, somebody's coming in, a rookie's coming in to take somebody's job. In baseball, it ain't like that. You're just hoping one day you might get an opportunity to do that. So to me, 100% the goal for youth baseball, it should be to play in college baseball somewhere. And if you get anything more than that, great. Some kids are not even going to play in that. And I know that to be a fact with a lot of kids. But I look at this stuff as it's life-changing because you can put certain things in them on a baseball field and work ethic that when they leave baseball, if they go to do something else, they can take the same thing to that job or wherever it is. So I know the majority of my kids are going to go that way. They're not going to be in the big leagues. They're going to be the kid that's, a lawyer or hopefully a doctor or a policeman, whatever it is, that they can take the lessons that maybe I've tried to teach them or instill in them to those professions.
Yeah, man, you're exactly right, Willie, because just like Steven Jr. do, that like maybe 1% of all high school baseball players will ever make it into professional baseball, right? So chances are you're going to be, it's a 99% chance you're going to be doing something else with your life somewhere down the road. And, I've coached guys that have gone on to work for, been pilots for airlines, they've gone on to the Army, they've been Air Force fighter pilots. Willie's probably familiar with Jason Johnson, whose dad owns Metro National. I mean, he's the CEO of Metro National now, right? And his vice president is another guy that played high school baseball with him named Scooter Hicks. I coached these guys when they were 16, 17 years old, and now these guys are running a commercial real estate business, right? So not everybody's going to be a professional baseball player, right? Not everybody's going to make it to the big leagues. And so I've always told guys, man, if you can get somebody to pay for, because we know how baseball is, almost nobody gets a full ride, right? It's not like football in college. But if you can get somebody to pay for part of your education and you can get your degree and move on into something if baseball doesn't work out for you, then you've won half the battle, because a lot of guys aren't going to get that opportunity to have part of their education paid for in college. And chances are you're not going to be a professional baseball player at the major league level, when it's all said and done. So prepare yourself for the other things in life and get your education and stuff like that. So, man, I'm right there with you, Willie. That's
thank you.
Props to you, man, for what you do, because that's that really helps young guys out more than what 95% of these guys are doing out there.
Yeah, and that's true, John. That's true, man. So thanks for calling, man. Hopefully you can come in a couple of weeks and we could chop it up again.
Hey,
and,
let's do it, man. I'll bring some more seeds in. I mean,
yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
I just made some for Chase Barta tonight from VSP Sports and Sportswear Apparel. He needed some seeds. He reached out to me. So, man, I'm really happy to be the newest sponsor.
Okay.
And
nice.
I appreciate you guys throwing some love out for me. And man, I'll just drop some seeds off, right? Even one day, even when I'm not even coming on the show, man, I'll just drop y'all off something. But I would like to come in and get some of that Carbach beer.
Yeah, you can come in. Sure. You can. We got luck.
I might even bring some of my Cajun Ranch dip like I did last
night. That dip was excellent. So yeah, man. So whenever you get a chance to come by, man, drop us off some. You'll drink a Carbach beer, and then you can drop off some dip, and we'll just hang out.
Yeah, right on. Sounds good, man. Hey, just text me. Let me know what flavor seeds y'all want, man. I'll bring you some.
All right, John. Thank you, sir.
Right. Take it easy, Willie Jr. Uncle Steve. We'll see y'all, bro.
Okay, thanks, man.
I got somebody else calling.
Yeah. Well, we also want to shout out to Sean Inner is watching. Hector Cepeda. Who else is watching right now? Mo Simmons, Steve Lopez, Aaron Cunningham, my man James Young. What's up, James? My man Kookie. Matthew Shanks, Nick Ortiz. I'm going to talk about that thing this morning that you put out there, and Timothy Johnson.
Got somebody else on.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, man? This is Steve.
Hey, Steve, what's going on?
What's up, man?
Turn the background
Who's
on.
this, Sam?
Yeah, what's up, bro?
Hey, what's up, Coach Sam? Hey, you got to turn the your TV off or something.
Or
your phone off. What's up, Coach?
Nah, not much, man. Hey, just here listening to the show and everything. It's good to see y'all got a good coach on there for a change. I'm just joking.
You know Coach Willie?
We've met a couple times. I see him a lot. He coached some of the boys that I coached, like Jeremy Green and Tyler Myers and stuff like that. He's kind of ran into them. I think at Dobie a lot of times I would see him over there.
Yeah. So you coach Fishy?
Yeah, bro. I had him for like a year when they were young. Him and my son, they were like 9, dude. Before and all them. He was a year older than my oldest son, but so we had him for about a year, and then he went to like I think the Spikes or something after that, Deer Park Spikes or something for a little while, and then he ended up going to. So I think later on, I think he went to what was it, Mizuno or something like that.
Man, I can't remember, but yeah, it was something to that effect, man.
So just man, wanted to say what's up. So y'all, good show today, man. Appreciate it, and Willie, man, that's a real tall dude and everything. How you been?
Man, I've been pretty good, man. Just trying to deal with this COVID-19 stuff and not go too crazy.
Yeah, bro. Hey, are you still affiliated over there with Dobie?
Nah, man, I went to South Houston. I worked over there, so I moved back and I worked at Dobie now, but I don't really do too much with the baseball program at this time.
Okay. So you were over there with Gardner for a little while at Soho?
Yeah, 1 year I was over there and then he left.
Right.
So yeah.
And it was over there? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Hey, Coach, that conversation that you're having right now on the chat. Yeah, go into that a little bit.
Man,
because I'm trying to read it and talk and listen and all that at the same time, and
see, so like, I mean, and I get it, man. I don't have nothing against like big organizations. Hell, we're with one, right? We're with one, but that was this is the first time with us being Adidas. This is the first time that I've ever joined really with a big organization, because I was always been kind of anti, only because of the reason that a lot of times they get misled. And and they always happen around high school, and these, if I work with them and you pay these dues and you pay all this, you're gonna get to, you're gonna get to the pros, you're gonna go to Rice, and all this other stuff. Y'all remember like Val Herrera, when that whole thing happened with him with the grinders, and I mean, they make all these promises, man, and then when they get to about sophomore year and nobody's knocking on their junior year, they looking around and them direct, I mean those organizations, they're like, hey man, sometimes you just ain't good enough. And then here they are, they paid for lessons and been a part of an organization for 11, 12 years, and they were misled, and it sucks, man. I mean, I say it all the time. I hear about it with a lot of friends, and I'm not going to throw no organizations under the bus, even though I could. But
do it.
You remember like the old Tom and Jerry commercial cartoon? You got one devil, the devil and the angel. Mm-hmm. So that devil, they were telling me go ahead and do it, but I don't. I ain't gonna do that, man.
Hey, but my question is like for parents, if your kid's batting, just say even on whatever team, if he's batting in the 7, 8, and 9 hole, how do they expect him to go to college to play? That's the thing that I don't get with some people who try to say I'm gonna get all these kids, because if I'm a college, you're going to look at the dude batting 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. The rest of the guys, unless they just totally stack from top to bottom, they got hitters all the way down.
Yeah.
And to me, it's parents being honest with themselves at what they're looking at with their kid. Because if you honest and look and say, my kid ain't just tearing it up every time we go to a tournament, and most parents don't realize their kid ain't got a hit in 3 or 4 tournaments. He's over.
Against mediocre
right.
pitching. And yet, there they are, right? And still thinking, and you got to be real with yourselves. I mean, yesterday we had a practice, and and I'm telling some of these guys that well, I'm better than some of the players. They only push themselves enough just to be the best on the team. I said, what about the other 3.2 million kids in the world that where you're at right now? What about them? Right. I said, if you're comparing yourself just to a couple kids on this team, I say it's a matter of time till you're faded down. If you don't even realize that you're already behind the 8 ball, you're already way behind. I said don't be complacent. I'm thinking you just because you're better than a couple kids on this team, our team, that's good enough. I said you behind. If you're not seeing the big picture here at all, I tell, like what I do with my son, I tell him, I said, we keep track of records, man. I got like Jeremy when he played with me, Jeremy Green when he played with me. I still got stuff from him when he was 8U, 9U on his on the lineups, on the, stuff. I could go back and show how they progressed or which ones degressed, and and I looked at it and you start to see, data don't lie, man. There's always trends. It's around 13 years old, and I sit here and I'll look at some of this stuff sometimes and compare just my younger team against them, and I mean, but these parents, man, just to go back on that, these parents, they sometimes they don't see the big picture of it all, and they're well, I know that, but his hitting's gonna get better later. So then, don't wait till later. Do it now. I mean, I'm sorry if you can't hit, you ain't gonna make it if you can't.
What about the kids that should be concentrating on pitching, but they spend more time on hitting, and then they don't develop their pitching. And then they lose the opportunities as a pitcher trying to hit.
Then they lose the pitching. When they were at the top of they were at the front of the herd at one point, and then they let me go work on a position that, we all know deep down inside they'll never freaking touch. He's a lefty. He's a good pitcher. He's a lefty, and I think he's gonna end up playing first base in high school. Bro, your dad's 5'2" and your mom's 4'11". Probably not. I'm just being honest, right? I mean, it's probably not going to happen. And if you end up being 6'2", y'all going to have family problems anyway because there's bigger questions there. There's another hurdle.
Coach Sad with the fire. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Coach. I mean, those are conversations, that we have all the time. Excuse me, and it's just one of those things, and I don't know if it's because the organization is lying, or if it's because the parents.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Hey, man, I'll tell you what. I mean, when you try to talk to a kid about when you try to talk to a parent about a kid, everybody wants to say, "Oh man, I'm not going to be defensive." That's the first thing that happens; they get defensive. Yeah. And so, but that conversation is hard, though. I mean, I what Coach Willie said. Want to be truthful and all that stuff. Sometimes the truth kind of hurts.
Mm-hmm. Man, when he said that, dude, that's when I was eating and watching it on my COVID-19 TV I bought for COVID-19. we talked about that one. I heard it and it really caught my eye. And I was like, I've known Willie and I've known about him, and I think we actually played a game or two against each other when he had some tournament over there. His older boy was playing. Someone was playing over Adobe. We were at Adobe. And it was like I think it was kind of a fundraiser. It might have been like a fundraiser or something. There was like 5 teams. There was like 5 or 6 teams in it, and we were playing up. And your son was a year older than my son, I think. Mm-hmm. Right, it was right before he went to Warren, and so we played up in there. And I got to talk to you a little bit. And I was, I remember, the impression. I was like, man, he's you're older than me, but I've always kind of hung out with older guys because I get irritated with I'll give you an example, like TikTok, dude. Stuff like that. I can't take that.
Sam, just know if I said something during the game, I didn't really mean it. I might have got caught up in the competition of it, man. I don't really mean it.
It was a good impression, man. I was like, I like it. It was funny because I heard you tearing somebody's ass up, and I started cracking up. I said, "Kid, that was me like the last one, bro." I said, "It's always funnier when it's not you, right?" So, some coaches are a little more entertaining than others. I was like, well, it's true. They need to hear it, man. And then you get these pamper teams where it's all right, it's okay. It's just, the ball didn't fly off the bat because it's a little moisture in it. What are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? No, it's not that. It's because he can't fucking hit. That's why. I'm so sorry. That's why. He weighs about 102 pounds, and he's swinging a 34.
Hey, Sam, you starting to sound like Uncle Steve, man.
Nah, bro. I'm gonna tell you that's a diet. We're a dying breed, bro. I mean, because everybody's being told. It's like this. These instructors, so-called instructors, they tossing the ball, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at them, right? And the kids can't hit shit. He's not hitting nothing. Coach tells him something that's completely crazy. He gets one lucky hit, Right, that's what I'm talking about. The same damn swing, everything was the same. What are you talking about? I'm like, see, that's progress. That's progress. We've gotten 1% better today. I'm like, man, dude, just take this $40 and move on, dude. Let's go. Come on, get out the cage. It's just crazy, man. And it's for me. And then and I guess with these younger coaches, a lot of them probably think I'm an asshole because like they go over there and they talk certain stuff, and I just kind of look at them sometimes. And I'm just like.
Just don't even pay attention, right?
Yeah, I'm like, talking about all stuff that don't matter. I'm like, dude, that's not true. I don't even know you heard that.
Hey, Coach Sam, what's the craziest excuse you've heard from a parent about why their kid can't hit shit?
Oh, because he had to stay up all night and babysit his dad because his dad was drinking to make sure he didn't take off at the car.
Oh, damn.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad there.
That's good relations right there. I mean, bro, and that wasn't my squad now. That wasn't this squad. It was another, and that kid lasted about 6 weeks on the team. But that was like, man, I got too much, man. I get it, bro. I get it, I get minority problems, but damn, dude, that's a little too much. I say this is, but no, man, I try to be real with them all the time, and it's to a fault, and Willie will tell you a lot of these top players, and even y'all know this, man, they don't want to hear that, and the parents tell you, hey, we'll just, tell me the truth, and as soon as they say, hey, tell me the truth, what do you think, this and that, well, right after that, you hear this. A big sigh. I was like, man, here we go. He's gonna be leaving next week. I gotta tell him the truth, and he ain't gonna want to hear what I gotta say. And so look, he got to work on this, and that. And his dad was like, well, I was just talking about like his velo. He came out with this whole list about like 18 things. And I thought, bro, you asked me, man. I'm telling you, I'm gonna tell you the truth. You know what I mean? But I said, I'm telling you that way you can work on it. You can't fix your faults if you don't know what they are.
Yeah. No, that's true, man.
But they don't want to hear that, man. A lot of times, some of them, and like I said, I got a good group of parents, and going back on that organization thing, dude. We joined with Adidas because I'll talk to Sean, and Sean Henna, and he's real. He's me and him see eye to eye on a lot of things, and we talk and chop it up sometimes, and he's real cool, and that Mike Partita, he was affiliated with Adidas for a little while, and then when he was there, I actually moved over to me and Mike are pretty good co-friends and everything, pretty good friends, and I thought it was the right movie, man, and it's been a good deal for us, so far, and we like being a part of the organization. This is really the first big. I was with PBA, but that PBA with Darren Force and them. When Mike was over, Mike Partita was there too, and I coached over there for a few years on the academy and had a couple teams over there. But it's good, man. With having the right parents is makes it a lot easier, man. A lot easier. And like what he was saying, a kid going 4 for 5 and coming down there, a dad's in the dugout, man, dude. I at 7U. I told the kids I don't want y'all parents carrying those bags. I don't want your mom in here bringing me no water. I better not see no McDonald's. None of that. I said I will cut you. I'll suspend you. I said you're gonna be our bad boy. I said before we suspend you, you're gonna be our bad boy. And I did it, dude. And I'll tell you, bro. I guarantee like 10 parents out here, at least 15, 20 parents in capacity in Haiti. But some of them ended up on good teams, and those good teams, it's the same rules. It's the same rules. You can't do that. Now some of those little not so great teams that are kind of ghetto and all that, they're 12 years old, they're talking about things that they shouldn't be talking about, dude. I mean, just irrelevant stuff, distractions and girls, and I mean, I get it, right? A nice little girl walk by, whatever, can say something, I guess, whatever.
That's funny.
But you shouldn't be saying some of the stuff you see some of these kids saying these days, bro. And when I'm on the other side of a dugout, we're playing like a kind of known to be a ghetto team. It's just F-bomb. I'm like, bro, y'all 12, man. And then coach is right there, like, cool with it. And, and I'm like, they're like 10 or 12 years old. I'm like, dude, I mean, nobody's saints, bro, but come on, man. Have some more, a little bit more respect. I feel for the game and for the whole situation. If the umpire has to call time out to go tell the kids to quit cussing. That's messed up.
Yeah. Hey, Sam. Well, thanks for calling in, my man. Shoot.
Yeah, man. Good.
Thanks
I appreciate it, man. Good show. I'll see you around, Willie.
All right, man.
All right, Sam. Right. Thanks, Coach.
No problem.
Hey, before we go further, man, have you seen the new Houston Hustlers facility? Yeah. So we got invited by our boy Memo.
Yeah, we're going.
Okay, so hold on. Let me tell you where it's at. The new facility is at 5830 Martha Lane, Humble, Texas 77396. They're open now. So we got invited to do a show over there. So we have the option, Julio. We can either do it in the facility or in their new team bus. Have you seen their team bus?
Let's do the bus.
I'm going to do the bus, yeah.
And drive around Houston.
Yeah, so they officially open on June 1st. They have 5 cages for rent and 2 turf infields. And if you just follow him on Facebook, I follow Memo. So his last name, what's his last name? Arevalo?
Yeah, Arevalo.
Yeah, there you go. My bad, Memo. So if you follow him, you'll see the progression of the facility. Man, that sucker's gone up quick.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
You know, when I hear those things, you know what automatically goes to my head?
what's that?
In about 2 years, I'll be able to get that turf. I'm just saying real quick. That's what always goes to, because I don't think, I don't know, but baseball and cages, it's not a moneymaker. From seeing that stuff, it's hard to keep going. And because all it takes is 3 or 4 disgruntled parents and your thing blows up if you haven't been around a long time and you have stability. I just think, man, I always go, man.
It's a tough
when they
business.
make that
It's a tough
decision. It's like, man, because you want parents, and I mean, you get the wrong 1 or 2 parents in there, they can blow all of your stuff up, and you done pay for the building turf, and now everybody gonna say, I'll give you this for it. You know, it's tough, man.
Yeah, it's tough. But hopefully that doesn't happen. We go out there for a show.
that'd be
So we've been
cool.
invited there. We've been invited to the cage with my cousin Sergio. I think we're cousins. Something like that.
That DBAT facility they opened up. I mean, everybody's trying to get us.
Yeah,
in there,
but COVID,
That's
man.
why I came, man. Y'all the hottest thing going.
Man,
I was like, man.
man, COVID. We can't go anywhere because of COVID right now, man. So, so that's what we're doing. What do you want to tell me, Julio? I'm sorry about that.
I got one more caller.
Another call?
Go ahead.
He's been calling. He's been.
Hey, Willie, what you think about the beer?
It's pretty good, man.
All right.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Frank said it makes a hair grow on your chest.
If you like coffee, that's a good beer.
That's okay. I was
tastes
like,
like
man,
coffee.
it tastes like coffee.
Yeah, he said that.
Tastes like coffee.
Hello,
Hey, hello, this is a wind up. What's up? Who's that? Who's here?
it's Mo Better, man. What's going on?
What's up, Mo Better?
I knew it. What's up, Mo?
Chilling, man. What's going on? Listen to you guys chopping it up tonight.
Yep, we are. What's up, Mo? What's going on?
Man, I got this novel concept, and I think it's just, from deductive reasoning would make sense to me with the baseball, since we've lost the 10U season, because that's what we play. I think right now, just talking to different people around the area from different teams, everybody's kind of in favor of having a World Series here in Houston in our age group, because the top teams in our age group is actually between Louisiana and Houston or Texas. Man, you got 20, 25 of the top teams right here.
Yeah.
I don't know how much sense it make to try and put people under, I guess, financial stresses, because we don't know what happened with everybody as far as the pandemic and who was working and who was doing what. Man, it may be hard for people to try to get on those World Series and stuff at this time, so
yeah, I actually talked to a few directors, and one of them was our good friend Darren Larson. He said that he's trying that Astros Fest on July 9th. He's trying to make that the World Series. I'm trying to get him to talk it into pushing it back a little bit more, just so, like you said, we don't know the extent of the damage that has happened with this COVID. Like, we don't know who's lost their jobs, who's struggling, and I told Darren, I think we need to shoot for like a late July, mid-July type deal, or maybe first week of August if you're going to give us that extra month to try to get ready. And like you said, I don't disagree with you, Mo. I mean, we play that division, and, so it's kind of like it sucks, man. I mean, it sucks that we've been shut down, but hey, I called it. June 1st is looking like we're going to start playing maybe the last week of May, June 1st, but I don't, man. Coach Willie's here with us on the line, on the studio. So, Coach, real quick, you're hearing us talk about this. You have a 10U team too. How do you feel about rushing to get back to a World Series? Do you kind of agree with me to push a bigger event deeper if we're staying in Houston, or how do you feel?
Well, I think it depends on where it's at. We scheduled to go one to the AAYBA in Dallas. We always go there every other year. So we're kind of preparing like they say it's still going to have it. So we're trying to prepare like it's going to go. I mean, we've been preparing for it anyway. And if it don't happen, then it don't happen. Okay. I really they say everything's still on. I don't know if they're going to allow youth sports to be able to play with that many teams in a location. I think it might be hard. I think a lot of people are saying, yeah, we're going to be able to play. I think it might be games, but I don't know if they'll allow tournaments. I think that's going to be the big key, is because some people say it should be scrimmage games where there's only 2 teams there, and not tournaments where you got, people advertise 400 teams.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to go over well.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be people, and I might be wrong, but my feeling, and I'm trying to go the direction of, you're going to have to start playing scrimmage games and say, hey, let's get together and play at this park over here, because you got to will they open up the parks to play? Will the county open up their fields, or are you only going to be able to play at private facilities? And are you going to be able to stay away from each other where you only got 4 fields, but you can only use 2?
Yeah.
I think all of that stuff is going to come into play. My thing is, with me, I'm thinking, hey, just try to play some games. Forget a tournament. Let's get together with other teams, so it's just us and them out there, or get 3 teams where we can play games right now until something's different. If the school's not opening up fields and stuff, I think it's hard to say they're going to play baseball tournaments. That's my opinion. But if it happens, fine. But
You don't see it.
I don't see it happening, because somebody that's into the school stuff, they saying they trying to keep youth sports out longer until they do something with school. June, maybe July, somewhere in there. So I think pushing stuff back to July makes more sense than trying to do it early.
Yeah.
I think that would benefit everybody more than that. But if you have people playing and something breaks out, it's over.
Yeah,
I think
true
it's going to be done.
And going back to you, Mo, what are you guys doing at 5-2? Are you still practicing? Y'all just trying to stay busy on y'all's own? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, me personally, they do Zoom stuff, but I have a little bit more time, so I've been basically working my kid. We hit every day, because I'm like, hey man, there's nothing else to do, so I'm not gonna let him just stay in here and play PlayStation all day long. So, we're gonna go out. We hit every day, and then, as a matter of fact, he's a right-hander, but he's a natural left-handed hitter. Man, we worked him. Now there's no difference with him hitting on the right side now. So that's what we did. We just used the time to get better. And then I also have an older kid, so we've been doing a lot of conditioning, that kind of thing. So that's where I'm at. Everybody's kind of on their own. I think we're gonna have a meeting this week and try and discuss what's gonna happen with the rest of the season. But like I said, my wife is an ER nurse, so man, I got many obstacles when we talk about traveling and playing baseball, because she's not down with it. Yeah. And you guys are married, man. You pick your fights. I'm not gonna be sleeping with the enemy behind playing 10U baseball.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the biggest thing that I'm dealing with. But man, I'm telling you, this is the most work we've ever put in. Me and my son together, because I was always like, man, we got plenty of time to play baseball. You're not gonna go from 10U to the MLB. That's not the way the thing worked, So my thing is, I just used to just let him play, but now he's getting older and he wants to work now. So because he wants to work, I try and work him in the ground, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I love seeing those videos, man. You know who I love seeing too? Your big boy Jaden, man. That dude looks like a future first-round lineman, bro. You guys.
Oh, dude. The dude is 13 years old with a size 13 shoe. He's 6 feet tall, 245 pounds, and he's doing all the 100s we run, all the stairs, the steps, all the plyometric stuff. He's starting to come into his own.
Man, that's good news. Wait, hey Mo, well, if y'all do something, or if you do something this weekend, hit me up, man. We're doing the same thing. Me and Jalen just trying to stay busy. I'm sure everybody's just trying to.
Dude,
you
and I are you welcome to come work with us anytime.
Oh yeah. No,
I got a buddy
it,
named TJ Weaver. He has a cage in his backyard, and he and I purchased one of those hack attacks last year. So we do a lot of that stuff. We do a lot of T work. We'll hit off the machine. We'll do flips. Just reps, man. Just getting reps and teaching them how to work. That's the biggest thing. When you're dealing with younger kids, just teaching them how to work, man. Not just to be, wasting time, but work. Let's work, man. My dad was a construction worker, and in the summertime, man, I was either on the roof or pouring some slab or framing something. So I always worked every day. So when people talk about burnout, man, what's burnout? You know what I think burnout is? When a bunch of kids who all have the same skill set in the same grade get to high school and they all play the same position. So you know what? Instead of fighting for it, I'm burned out, Mom. I don't want to play anymore. You know, so that's what my dad never burned me out working. So I can't see me burning my kid out, you know, swinging the baseball bat. You know, he needs to burn out on them damn PlayStation. That's what he needs to burn out, man.
Yeah.
You know, stuff that don't make any sense.
Hey, Mo, Uncle Steve kind of mad at you right now because he says that you left him on red. Is this true?
What's that?
No.
I didn't say that.
No. But look, my thing is, you know, when we got something to talk about, then we'll talk. And I'm not even.
Hey, Mo.
Now,
I didn't even say that. I was on another conversation. Don't believe Junior, man.
Hey, look, dude. You know I am, man. You know I'm the type of guy. I don't have thin skin, man. You can say whatever you want to me. We both grown ups. You know, I like you, Steve, and I think you like me. You know?
Yeah.
like the kids say, man, we Gucci.
And I come back in. I don't know what the hell I'm coming back into, man.
No, man, it's just that, like I said, man, we nobody knows what's gonna happen, man. We all, you know, you watch the news, you hear everybody's talking.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's going on. But look, I'll be 55 years old in August, right? So I can remember all of these different plagues, man. If you're a spiritual person, you read the Bible, you always have plagues. And everything lasts for a season. At some point, COVID-19 is going to go, man. It's going to fall to the wayside, just like yellow fever and malaria and all the other things that came up throughout our history. So, you know, we just got to wait this thing out. Let the professionals do what they do. Let the people on the news channel make a bunch of money by scaring everybody to death. You know,
They're making it.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, man. You got all of these news stations, man. They got to come up with content, so everything's the sky is falling. Everything's Chicken Little, man. So my thing is, we're gonna just sit here, and if we look at history, man, our science will eventually catch up with this. So
Yeah.
we just got to be patient.
Yeah. No, you're right, Mo. You're right, Mo. Wait, man. Well, thanks for calling in and chopping it up with us, man. I'm sure we'll be talking to you pretty soon, my man.
Love you guys, man. Keep up the good work.
All right, Big Mo. Thanks, bro.
Appreciate it, Mo.
All right.
Hey, Coach Blue is active, man.
Hey, what's up, Coach? Call in. Coach Blue, call in.
Coach Blue, go ahead.
Let me tell you something about Vincent Blue. Man, this dude, I've never seen anybody work as hard as him when he was in high school. You know, I got a chance to work with him when he was a sophomore but I've never seen anybody work as hard as him. Funniest story he had is I had a cage in my backyard, so he would come and hit. So, you know, his dad, hard worker, man. He worked 2 jobs. He'd come, park. He'd be sleep in the truck. He'd come and hit. So one day he comes to hit, and he has 2 Band-Aids on his knees. And I'm like, man, what you doing? What happened? And he said, man, I was working out, and I was running a hill, and he was working out over on the southwest side. You know, they had the hill, the turf hill on the side over there. But he said the trainer told him, you got 2 more. I don't care how you make it up there, but you're going to do them. He said he had to crawl up that turf and back down. So he had scabs on his knees.
Damn.
But, I mean, and Lamar did a very hard workout for baseball. I mean, they had to swim, lift, and all that stuff. And he would do that, and then he would go work with that trainer, and then he would come and hit with me. And
that's a tough day.
Oh,
Shit.
man, that was, I mean, and then some days his dad would take him out. They go hit fly balls. But, I mean, he worked himself into that. I mean, he had ability. You know, he was fast and he was there. But he worked himself into being a person that was draft eligible or could have got drafted high. You know, so there's guys out there who have the talent and ability. And if you just put them in the right direction and they got the work ethic, they could become something you don't think. Off that Lamar team, I mean, I can't think of the kid's name, but he played second base at Lamar. You'd never think this kid would have made it to the big leagues. And he was on there with Jeff Neiman, all those guys. And he ended up making it to the big leagues. And I was like, wow. But the kid always worked hard. He always worked hard and everything. So, I mean, off of that team that year, I mean, they was loaded that year. Yeah, and for him to be one of the guys that made it, you never would have thought that kid would have made it. Little short guy, he was a twin, but he was always real feisty, you know, and he was serious about what he did. But Blue was one of those guys that just, you know, he absolutely worked his butt off, you know, to get there. And, you know, no matter what, he was going to come do his lesson, you know, when he's supposed to. He worked, you know, he was working outside of doing the lesson too, and he just started getting better and better.
Yeah, and that, like I talked about before, that Lamar team was really good. They were really big. They still lost to Reagan, though, in one game in the playoffs. I hate to bring that up,
No,
Blue,
not
but
that
I was
year,
there.
was it?
Yeah,
Not
I was
that
there.
year.
Yeah,
Not
His
when they
senior year?
had Neiman then.
Yeah, they lost.
They lost.
They lost one game in the playoffs to Reagan.
Oh. But that's when they should have beat
We talked about that.
Elkins.
Yeah, we talked about.
And the year after, they should have beat Elkins too.
Yeah,
they had them.
We talked about that with Blue, and man, that was a good team. That was a good team. I mean, we're going down memory lane on that, but man, Coach Blue, man, we love you, bro. I mean, you need to come on one day. We actually need to see that his car, because I don't even know if it's running. Because I see it on
That
Facebook.
Impala?
He's taking a picture of it. Then it's on a tow truck. Then he's in a picture. Then he's driving it. Then it's on a tow truck. And then it's on a flatbed. I'm like, come on, Blue. I mean, come on.
You need to wake one of those, what is it, the General insurance commercials riding in it. Throw the deuces up at us. Like, yeah, it's rolling.
Shout out Coach Blue, man.
So
Hey, we got his hat right there, too.
Yeah. I mean, we wear it on occasion. So, you know, next time, hopefully, when Coach Blue comes by, maybe he's in that ride. Yeah. And so he got. What did he say? He got that when he signed or something like that. I can't remember.
I don't remember the story. I just remember it's a purple one. It's sick. I love those colors.
Yeah, it's nice.
Dark cherry.
Coach B. So before we had the phone calls, we were talking about trainers.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion on some of the trainers around Houston? They know what they're talking about. Some good ones, some bad ones, just like in every profession. Or
I think it's like that in everything. You know, I think there's good and bad in everything. I mean, I'm sure people think you know, some people think I'm bad, some people think I'm good. So I think it's just what that person, because, you know, there's things I do that might not work for this kid, or somebody else might come along and what they do works for that kid. So I think it's just a matter of how they do things. I do think there's some guys that, I mean, there's this one guy, I don't know, my son showed me the dude with the two big water things
Oh,
on
yes,
there with
yes.
the thing, and he's like, what are you doing? People are trying to reinvent how to do the thing. Like, what is that? I mean,
I have not seen that.
It's
Thank
fun.
God I
like,
haven't
he's-
seen it because
he's
I
saying screw like this, and the ball goes by, and he's still moving it like that. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to reinvent baseball?
Let's talk about that, because I see a lot of guys on Facebook and on YouTube, and I text these guys. I mean, it can be early in the morning. I'm like, man, what the hell are they doing? I'm like,
And it's that, and then I think it's two people teaching without a feel. Like, you're trying to teach somebody to do stuff that you never had a feel of how that is supposed to be.
Okay.
So then you start telling people to do this, and you're actually creating worse habits in them. Because I just think it's people that they know what they're saying, but not everybody knows how to teach certain things.
right.
Like I said, I've had kids that didn't even know I played baseball. They didn't know nothing about a number one pick or nothing. I mean, the first team I had, they were called the Blasters. You know, we had Robbie Rojas was on that team. He plays in the minor leagues for the Brewers. You know, they didn't know I played. I didn't go around telling everybody I was a number one pick. I very seldom tell anybody that. If you ask anybody, I don't go around telling people that, because I believe in coaching or teaching, that does not matter. Because just because you play don't mean you can teach the game to kids.
We see that a lot.
It don't mean that. So I never went on that. I want people to know, hey, he's good at this. He does this. Not, oh, man, that guy's a number one pick. I'm going to go over there. Because I can promise you, I'm not going to make you into a number one pick. You're either going to be that kid and you can kind of craft them or move them or show them things, and it's going to come out in them. That's what they are. I mean, when I got a chance to meet Carl, I seen him with the Houstonians, and I seen a kid that he was on a team, but there was like 5, 6 kids that were better than him at baseball on that squad, could run everything. That Houstonian team, that first one, man, they had some Jason Bourgeois, man, they had athletes on that team. But I seen a kid who was raw, that could do everything, but he was just raw. He didn't really play in the game. He was just out there. And I seen him at a cage and got a chance to talk to him, pulled him to the side. I said, look, man, I know you from the hood. I'm not going to try to run no game on you. I'm going to be honest, straight up with you. I can help you get what you want to go, and you help me get what I want to need, where I want to go. And that's it. You know, we can go to work, you know, and let's see what happens. And when we first started working, I said, okay, you want to do it? He said, yeah. I said, okay, meet me on Saturday at Memorial Park at 6 in the morning. I said, you got baseball, you got 3 strikes. If you late 3 times, we're done. Because I'm not going to waste my time. If you want this, I said, I got to get up. I'm off. I have to get up, and I have to come. But if you want it, you're going to be there. He always beat me there. He always beat me there. I made him do that for about 4 Saturdays. And then after he showed up all the time, and then, okay, let's do something regular. But I wanted to see if he really wanted to do it. And he always showed up. He was always there. And he always worked hard. And, you know, he's a kid that if you take a kid who's a really great athlete but thinks he's not very good, so he has to work his butt off to compete, that's the kid like him. And that's what ended up happening for that kid, because it was all about, he didn't think he was that good. Wow. We was having a conversation in the cage one time, and I'm saying, you know, I'm like, dude, you know, you could be a number 1 pick. I said, man, look, they're giving like $1 million now. You know, mine was like $200,000. I said, man, they're giving out $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million. And he said, nah, not me. And I asked him the question. I said, why not you? He couldn't answer me. And I said, why not? He didn't answer. I said, dude, you can be that dude, man. You got all it takes, man. You're there. But he never knew, you know. He was, I mean, I took him out to eat one time. We went to a steakhouse. He didn't even want to order off the menu. He said it was too much. I said, look, man, one day this is not even going to be in your price range. This will be really cheap. You would not even eat at this steakhouse, man. Yeah. You know, this will be a really cheap meal. I think we was at Sawgrass. I'm like, look, this $30 steak ain't going to be nothing for you. But that's the type of kid he was, and to be able to put in that work. And all the guys I've worked with that has made it, you already know that they kind of, Anthony Rendon, you seen that in him, right. That, hey, man, this kid he's different. You know, it's not because he's the biggest kid. He's not the fastest kid, but he just does things different.
Talk to us about that.
Well, when Anthony was always the littlest guy, and that's what people don't, if you didn't know him, you didn't realize he always played up. So he was like 1.5 years younger than everybody else around in there. So when they were hitting that growth spurt, he was still small. You know, he was small up until his sophomore, junior year in high school. He was small. So here's a kid that we had that was one of the smallest kids at 13, and I batted him in the 4-hole because I had a big old kid that was in the 3-hole, and then he would come up in the 4-hole. And teams that didn't know him, like they'd scoot, you know, he'd take a pitch, and then you hear the coach, hey, scoot in. And you're like, uh-oh, got him. And they would just lay a fastball in there, and bang, he would smoke it. And he had really, you know, it's the things you look at and say, man, he had really good wrists. As a young kid, he had wrists that you go, man, I played with Andrew Harcedeno.
Right.
He wasn't a very good big kid, man, but his wrists were just, wow, man, the ball jumped. And you could see that in him. We was 12. We went to a World Series in Louisiana at the home run derby, and I let him be in there. Just, hey, man, they're going to get a kick out of seeing this little kid come up there. So he comes up there. Man, he smoked some. He didn't even win it, but he was the talk of the World Series. You know, we walk around, everybody goes, hey, there he is right there. And but he just had that little bit different, the wrist, the ability to make a play. I remember we were playing a game at 13, and it was a high chopper across the middle, right over the mound. And as the ball was bouncing, I'm thinking, okay, the only way he's going to make this play is he's got to jump in the air, catch it barehanded, come down. As soon as his feet hit, he's got to get rid of it. And he's running up there, and he stops. And when he stops, he's looking at the hop, bounce, and I see him jump. And I'm like, uh-oh. He jumps, he barehands it. As soon as his feet come down, he was already letting it go. Boom, got the guy out. And I looked at my coach. I said, see, you can't teach that.
Yeah.
That's instincts. No, you can't practice that. That's just instincts. You either have it or you don't. And out of all the kids that year, I mean, that were in there, and that's when Baseball USA was probably at the height of players, you know, coming to Houston. Louisiana came. It was probably the best baseball in the nation at the time, during that era down there. And, you know, he was one of the kids. He did it. He wasn't the biggest kid, but you just kind of knew he just handled himself different for a young kid. You know, he took coaching well, and he just made plays. And that's another thing I tell mine. You got to start making plays. You can't come out here like you're good and you don't make plays. You can't make plays in practice, and then you get in the game, you don't make plays, and then you wonder why you get pulled from shortstop. Right. You got to make plays. And that's another thing I see is people don't understand. If you want to be good, you make plays. You can't consider yourself good if you ain't making plays. Yeah. You know, routine plays have to be made, and right. I don't care what age. A ground ball on the ground has its routine. It's got to be made. You have to make it. If you want to be that person, you got to make plays. Right. And then if you want to be that next level guy, you got to be able to make the diving play here and there. You got to be able to run a ball down in the outfield that nobody think you're going to get to and get it. You have to be able to do those things if you want to be considered that dude. And those guys could. Man, that year they had a kid playing for the Raiders. His name was Ryan Steele. Fastest kid I ever seen in my life. You be on the backfield at Baseball USA, and most kids hit the ball to the fence. You're trying to stop them from getting a triple. If he hit it to the fence, you're trying to stop him from getting a inside the park home run. Damn. Man, the kid was awesome. Arm, I mean, he'd catch a ball at shortstop, catch it, and watch the runner run down the line, and then zoom it to first base. And a lot of people said, oh, man, that kid's going to make it. And my thought was he has an opportunity. But when you get to high school, opens up a whole different – girls, don't get none of that stuff. Yep. You know, then your mind's blown. Now baseball is not the first thing. And, you know, they get a little around the wrong crowd. And drugs come into play, and all this stuff can start to come into play, and kids get off track. So a lot of the kids that we see – that you think are going to make it, they ain't going to make it.
Yeah. And that's we talk about that a lot because I've seen it, you've seen it, mm-hmm. but a lot of people haven't seen it. Or if they've seen it, then they don't actually want to admit it. But, I mean, I tell people all the time, when I was playing high school, there were guys better than me, but never played because they got mixed up with girls, and their grades just took them. And then they hung out with the wrong crowd. Then that was done. They were done.
And I'm going to mention Gil Landestor. His son plays on my team, and I ain't, you know, I told him he knows. We talk about it. His son's not very good, okay? He's not a very good baseball player, but his dad is 6'3", okay?
Got the tools. Or
got the tools, okay? He's getting taller, you know, and I'm like, okay. And I told his dad, just give him time.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that kid on my team. Because at 13, if that 6'3" kid shows out there with that 85, 88 in the arm, then now he's a player. But somebody has to give him an opportunity to work into that. Yeah. So that's what I do is I see him, and he's starting to get a little bit. Good. And so you look at that, and that's how I do. And I tell people, parents don't get it. It's like you don't think people look at at the parent. When I look at a kid, that's how I start determining a lot of what kids are going to do.
I've been telling Junior that for a long time.
I see and I go, okay, look at the dad. He's 6'4". The kid's real little. Let's see when he gets about 12, does he start looking like the dad or he starts looking like the mom? Mm-hmm. Okay, does his hips start looking like the mom or they start looking like the dad? Mm-hmm. And you can start to see what his body's type is going to be. And if he starts to get taller, you go, okay, Now, that kid that everybody, wrote off, when he gets about 15, 16, he going to walk out there and be 6'3", 6'4", while your kid's still 5'10", acting like
Happens
he's a
a lot.
stud. Yeah. And then this kid walk out there and you like, man, he didn't even play on my team. Yeah, but now he that dude. Now he
Hey,
that
Coach,
dude.
you mentioned earlier that the eye test is big. Now, I'm a firm believer on this. Not necessarily for size, but demeanor, the way you conduct yourself, how you are as a teammate. Talk to us about that, because you mentioned that the pro scouts are looking at these things. Talk to me about that.
I think it's anytime you're doing anything, body language is probably the most important thing. I don't care what you say, it's your body language. And that's what people are looking at, is your body language, how you approach the game. I never even knew that there was a spot on a questionnaire or a checklist for your energy as far as playing the game. My son went somewhere to TCU, I think it was. They went up there to play and they did an evaluation. And that box, they had a box on there for, it was kind of like enthusiasm of playing the game. Mm-hmm. And they had a box for that they would check out or not. And I'm thinking, wow, I never, you see that, but I wouldn't think they have a box for that. Yeah. But you got to consider, they play way more games in college. They start playing. If you're not enthusiastic about playing baseball, you're going to burn out. Yeah. Because this starts being a grind. So if you don't have the love of the game or the passion for the game, then you won't make it. I always talk about that, and one of the guys said his dad picked up a guy from Rice, and he was talking, and he asked him, what's the difference you played at Rice, what's the difference in you and the guys that made it? He said, well, they had a passion to play, and I was just there.
That's a big reason.
He said, they had a passion. I didn't really have a passion. I was there, going to school there. They had a passion. They did the extra stuff I didn't. Yeah. So you can see the passion in the body language. You could tell kids who love to play. I tell them, this guy, Robbie Rojas, my son, that team that came, man, they had like 6 guys that they were 9 years old when we started that little team, but 6 of them played in college, but they could play baseball all day long. Man, it didn't matter. If it was the 4th game of the day, man, you could tell these guys are dead tired, but they're going to go out there and play hard because they love playing the game. And you can see that. And when you love playing the game, you know that kid has a chance to make it further than a kid who's just out there playing, or you could tell he wish, man, the game's over. Right. They ain't asking, Coach, what inning is it? And it's a difference when you asking, Coach, what inning is it? Because we might be behind, we got to make, or Coach, what inning is it? Because I'm ready to go.
And there's a lot of that happens,
Yeah, they start asking you what time is it and all of that stuff, and you start saying, nah, he ain't going to make it because he don't love playing the game. And you asked me why I quit playing. That was one of the reasons, too, is that it wasn't fun anymore. It was like you going, man, what inning are we in? It's time to go home, man. So I think the body language and what people see is you have to, if you out there playing the game with a frown on your face, man, ain't nobody, I can't help
I get turned off by that. I had a conversation with a parent about 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, and we took his son out because his body language was terrible. He was moping, and the dad comes up to me and said, hey, Steve, why'd you take my son out? And I said, you saw your son's demeanor, right? Well, that's just how he is. I said, okay, well, I'm going to give you that's just how he is. I said, but that's just not what we want. Great kid, but I don't think he wanted to play that year. We'll just say that year, because subsequently and we need to watch out how we talk about kids, because like we just said, at 9 years old, 10 years old, they're one way, and then they start getting 13, 14, didn't they? So he has progressed and gotten better. Mm-hmm. And I always talk to the dad. I'm like, man, I said, dude, he's changed. He said, yeah, he did change. And I'm like, yeah, well, he needed to change it, because people are looking at body language, man. I mean, it's just, they don't want, and not only that, But kids in the dugout and on the team, they feed off that. They can see that.
Oh, yeah.
They see it real quick. There's a lot of shit that goes on in that dugout.
I had a kid one time who made the opposite. He was on our team, and it was kind of – it worked out for him, and I was happy. But at the time, like, he was really lazy. He was a big kid, but he was lazy. And you're moving to that age from 12 to 13 where when you throw hard at 10, 11, 12 because you're the biggest kid, then you get to 13, and now the distance gets further, and now that hard you thought was hard, it's not so hard now. Kids are hitting it, and you're not making a change and all these things. And, you know, he ended up, you know, quitting. And, you know, and I told his dad, I said, look, no matter where he goes, if he don't develop a work ethic, man, he can't live on this 9, 10-year-old stuff. He's got to develop a work ethic, or else he ain't going to make it, you know. And then I seen the kid, he went to straight Jesuit, and, man, the kid turned it around. He ended up getting drafted, turned out to be a big kid, threw hard, got drafted, and I'm like, okay, good. He listened.
Good.
But, you know, you have people that, you know, I tell you, if I tell you the truth all the time, if I tell you something, why do you think I'm lying to you?
Yeah, but that's always happening, though. I mean, unfortunately.
I hate parents who say, oh, you're a good coach, but. Nah, don't tell me that. You're getting ready to leave. Don't tell me that. Because if I'm a good coach, what you leaving for?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I had a parent, man, they was just going on about this and that. And I thought, you know, hey, I told you what the kid was going to end up being. Right. But what a kid is at 9, 10, 11, it doesn't mean he's going to be that at 12 and 13.
Right.
I had a kid that's on my 14-year-old team now. He was the shortstop at 10, 11, 12. But I knew he wasn't going to be the shortstop at 13 or 14 because his feet. Yeah. When I seen him at 9 and 10, he had slow feet. He can play shortstop on the small fields like that. Bigger. But then when he gets to 13 on a bigger field, he's not going to be able to make certain plays. Yeah. And, you know, it was hard for that kid to accept that. You know, that, hey, man, I still should be playing shortstop. No, you're slow. You're too slow. And that's okay. You know, you just got to find out where you got to go. Third base, first base, you move on. Had another kid who said, I should be playing third. No, there's certain things you can't do now. Well, you said, yeah, but he's changed. His body's changed. He's gotten a lot bigger. Certain things he can't do. So, look, he's going to be a 3-4 guy. He's going to play first. He's going to play right. I said he's going to catch. And he could be serviceable a little bit at third base, but he's not. That's not going to be him. He's not going to be a shortstop. Right. So stop wasting your time trying to play shortstop. Well, you're not going to be a shortstop. Mm-hmm. Everybody says, hey, you got to be able to do everything. Look, if you're not good at something on the field, you're not going to play. I don't care if you can play 9 different positions. That just means you're probably not very good at all 9 positions. You have to be good at one. If you're a shortstop, you should be a great shortstop and can play third and can play second, wherever. You can't just say, well, I could play everywhere, and then you get over there, you don't know where to be on the cutoff. You know, you're just standing over there. That's not playing a position. Yeah. You know, you should be good at one position and then be able to do the rest of them. You might be good at 2, but you got to be good at something, whatever you do on a baseball field.
Yeah, I agree with that. Listen, before we wrap it up, I want to ask you this question because I was talking to this guy. This guy called me. He works for a magazine publication. He was asking about one of our players in the Dominican Republic. So we've had this conversation for about 4 or 5 years because he's always asking me about African-American baseball players at the youth level. Mm-hmm. Okay, because he wrote an article a couple of years ago, and he said that African-Americans weren't playing baseball a lot. And I said, dude, you have not gone. I asked him, I said, where'd you get this information from? He's like, oh, well, you know, we have contributors and all this and all that. And I told him, I said, you must not be at the tournaments that I'm at. And I said, okay, I can't tell you at this point in time if the numbers are down because I don't know what the numbers are. I said, but I can actually tell you that there are a lot of good African-American players, kids that are playing. I said, you need to go down to the elite. You need to go down to one of these tournaments, not the perfect game tournaments. I'm talking about at the youth level. I said, and you will see that there's a lot of African-American kids playing. And dude didn't, I'm not going to say he thought I was lying, but I don't think he thought I was telling him the truth. And so I asked him again today. I said, hey, have the numbers increase? And he acted like he didn't hear the question because I know he didn't want to talk about it. Right. So I asked him again. I said, hey, so what did you guys find out about African Americans playing at the youth level? He said, oh, man, they're increasing. I said, dude, I told you. I said, whoever told you that African Americans are not playing baseball, I said, they're lying to you. I said, they may not be to the numbers that somebody wants them to be. I said, but man, there's a lot of good ones playing. So I ask you, where do you think we're going with that?
Well, I think it's me personally. I don't know if it's increasing or, but I'll tell you this. I think the reason why is because, honestly, I think baseball came from fathers, grandfathers. That's why a lot of African American kids played. That's why we played, because our father liked it, our grandfather liked it. It's on TV. That's why we played. I think when you have an absence of fathers in the house, they don't get that because there's not a lot of moms that's sitting down watching baseball. Or like, hey, son, let's go out and throw the baseball. That's not really happening. So I think that was one of the biggest things that it started to decline is that. Me personally, that's what I feel like. And then when you get into baseball, I think in a lot of inner cities, it's just not as prevalent as it was. In the kids that are playing, it's the instructions that they are receiving. Because I think it could be a lot more. I think there are a lot of kids that are playing, but are they quality players? What they're doing, they're athletes, but they don't really know how to play the game of baseball. They're just there playing, catch it, throw it anyway. They're not getting the proper instruction. There's a lot of well-meaning people, dads who volunteer to get a time, but when it comes to trying to get somebody to teach them the right way, they have a hard time letting go for you to help them with that.
Right. See it all the time.
Baseball is something that you have to learn A, B, C, D. You know, fielding the ground ball. You got to go 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't skip steps. If you don't learn those steps, you can't start trying to, I'm going to backhand it and do all of this stuff when you can't do the simple thing over and over and over and over again. So I think when that happens is if I'm a basketball player and I'm pretty good in basketball, and I get to 12 and somebody throws me a curveball and I can't hit it, or 13 and I can't hit it, I'm not going to keep playing when I can go run a touchdown or I can make some baskets. But I go out here, man, I ain't that great athlete no more. These guys are, I can't compete there. So I think that still happens, and I think that happens at any age, any color, whatever. When you get to 12, 13, 14, people drop off because baseball gets hard. And I think with black kids playing, if we can get better instruction when they're younger, I always believe kids in general that play baseball, it's because they love it when they're young. T-ball age kids, they fall in love with baseball. So if you don't attack baseball from the T-ball level and getting them in love with the game before they can play football, before they can do that. If you make a kid fall in love with it, he's going to always play it. If he doesn't fall in love with it when he's young, it's easy to put down.
Right.
When I played, just starting to play T-ball and playing, man, that was some of the best memories I had playing. I love T-ball, playing in jeans, We didn't have no baseball pants. We had Levi's.
I played in bands one time.
Yeah. We had girls on our team, that was tougher than some of the boys, all of that stuff, man. And that built a love for the game that you always wanted to play. I think that's what missing with a lot of black kids playing. And, it's other things. Donovan Mitchell for the Utah Jazz. His dad played. I played with his dad a little bit. He came in right after me. We're doing a Zoom with him on Sunday. And he's with the Mets and he coached and stuff. So I'm trying to get him to come in because here's a kid who played baseball. His dad, he played baseball. His son played baseball until he got hurt. And then he said, hey, I'm going to play basketball. So I think it's good for our kids to be able to listen to a dad talk about that, who had a kid who was playing what he played, and then he said, hey, I got hurt, I need to go to basketball, and, you know, he's in the NBA.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, that's a subject for me that I try to help as much as I can. I'm one of those that, I try to give. I mean, I don't, it's people on here and Facebook, they always shouting about what they do. Man, I don't tell nobody what I do outside. Man, I try to work with all kids, especially kids who need it, might not have the money. Man, if they some on here, I don't put it on there, but I'll message them, hey man, come. If you can get here, I'll work with your kid. I don't do this thing all for money. Yeah, I like to make some money too, but it's a lot of things that I do outside that I want kids to be able to afford to do it, man. So, but yeah, I think kids are playing, but I think it's a lot more that could be playing if we attacked it the right way.
Now, wasn't that supposed to be the initiative of the Urban Academy?
Please don't say that.
Well, I mean, that's what was told. I mean, that's what I read. And then I go over there and I see a bunch of suburban dudes playing over there.
I was there
I
was there when they first started that. I was actually working in the maintenance department, and I would go over there to help them. And that's the thing I told them, you need to attack this from T-ball. I understand you're trying to get something started, but you got to go in there and attack this from T-ball and give some years where you work these kids up and teach them the right way. So when they get 9, 10, 11, they understand how to play the baseball game in the right way. And, you think with their athletic ability, they learn they can compete with suburban kids. And then all of a sudden, it just went about trying to win the RBI World Series.
Exactly.
And then it's like, hey, okay, well, it's this time. And, they had guys, I tried to get them. I had, when Travaris was there, I had said, man, you know what? I'm going to put my select team aside, and I'm going to send my kids over to them. I called a guy 5, 6 times, never would call me back. Then all of a sudden, he found out I was working with Carl, all that stuff. Now he calling me back. Hey, man. Hey, Willie, how you doing? Man, get out of here. I ain't got time for that. I think the intention's good, but it's not there. You can't have one place set in one spot and think you're going to affect a whole bunch of kids.
Right.
That should be mobile. And that's what I told them. That should be mobile. You should be sending instructors and paying them to go to different areas and working kids out and practicing all over the city and the inner city and sending them there. It's a lot of kids can't get there.
Yeah, it's far. I mean, from here, man, it's a long way to get there. And because I bring that up because I saw some kids from Fort Bend that I knew back in the day, and I hadn't seen them in a while. I'm like, man, who you guys playing for? And they're like, oh, we're playing for the Astros in the Urban Academy. I'm like, bro, you're in like Fort Bend County. You're first of all, you're not but you're not.
Yeah. That's not the target.
Exactly.
It's not the target demographic. Yeah.
So then I saw that, and then I called my friend up and I said, hey, dude, man, talk to me about this, because he was affiliated with them a long time ago. And he's like, yeah, man, something changed. And he was I didn't want to put him on the spot. He's a good friend of mine. I just wanted him to tell me what happened, because from what I read, it was supposed to be inner city.
Right.
Last time I read, Sugar Land was in inner city.
Right.
So we'll just leave it at that.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you.
I know I'm going to get killed. Somebody's going to hit me on a DM talking bad about me. So.
But look, that whole thing, and I'm going to put this out there. Just because you black don't mean you inner city.
True.
And you have a lot of black kids who live out in the woodlands and all of that, that's going there to play, to be on that team. It wasn't made for you either.
Yeah.
It was really made for the kids who can't even afford to get a ride there. They got to walk there. Yeah. That's what that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But then it changed where, we got these kids that they already play select. That's supposed to be for kids who may never get to go to California and play on the field.
Right.
That's what that was for. And that's what get me is that it started out being for that, and then it changed. So there's a lot of kids who don't get a chance to experience that whether you win or not, it's being able to experience that they won't get. And a lot of those kids, that might be their only opportunity, but they're not getting it because they got Joe Blow from over here because, whether he's white, black, or whatever, but he's not an inner city kid. His mom and them got money. They making $50,000-$60,000 a year.
Exactly.
And he's over here benefiting from that. That's not right either.
Yeah, that's where I thought it went off the rails right then. And I wasn't really upset, but my wife was with me. I'm like, man, I got to call so-and-so. She's like, why? And I said, man, because nothing against the kids. They're going to play wherever they're going to play. I said, but it wasn't intended for this.
Right.
And so, at least not when it started. Now, I know things evolve. I get all that. But you can't have one and then.
But Steve, this is a difference. People talk about development, but do you really have that goal to develop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you really have that in you to say, this kid can't throw a ball, so I'm going to work with this kid till he can throw a ball? Everybody says that, but they don't really have that in them, man.
Yeah.
And when I started doing this, and Ray with the when Ray came on with the Banditos, man, we used to go back and forth, because I tell Ray, look, man, I could be winning by 10, I could be losing by 10. But I ain't got no problems talking noise to anybody because I'm confident in who I am, what I've done. So you can't scare me or whatever.
I've seen it in person too, so yeah.
Oh man, I used to go back and forth with Ray. We used to have people that would stand on our side to hear me and him go back and forth, and it was all in good. And, I ain't got nothing, but it was in competition because I wanted them to know that, hey man, my kid's not gonna be afraid of you. And Ray told me one time, he said, man, I like playing you. He said, you know what? He said, because you pitch your best pitches against us, you come out here to beat us. He said, some of these other teams, man, we won before we even show up because they won't pitch anybody against us. They go, I said, look, man, I want my guys, if you're the best, I want them to learn how to get the best hitters out. You got the best team out here. My best pitchers need to learn how to get your guys out. Because if they can get your guys out, you got number 3 hole hitters all through your lineup. If they learn how to get you out, they'll be able to get these other guys out. So man, we used to go at it, and it got to the point, man, where my team used to make fun. They'd be playing, they look at us crazy, like, man. I remember one time we was getting ready to play. I went in center field, man. I started talking so much noise across the field of Ray now. My kids was looking at me like, Coach, come on, man. I was talking noise, man, and Ray got them kids together. He was pointing over there at us. Oh, man, I went over and told my kids, I was like, look, man, you got the number 1 team in the nation. They fired up to play you. You better bring it, And we ended up tying them that game, But it was like, okay, I want my kids to understand, don't be afraid of that big bad wolf, man.
Right.
You got to believe in yourself and say, hey, I can go compete with them. I can beat them. I'm going to bring the same confidence they got. I'm going to bring it, and we can compete. And so, back when I was younger, man, that was me, man. Right. It's like, I'm confident in who I am, what I done. So, hey, my kids, I need y'all to go. And sometimes parents are like taken back. I'm like, man, if you got a AA kid competing against this really good team, man, you got to bring it. Yeah. They got to bring it. And, that's how I approach things, man. I'm like, look, I ain't scared to play nobody. That's how I grew up, man. I ain't scared to play nobody. I might lose. I ain't scared to fight nobody. Look, when I was growing up, I fought any and everybody. I might lose, but I'm going to fight you. If you want to fight, I'm going to fight, So that's just how I grew up. That's how I am. I don't run from competition. I want to play you, and I want to play good teams over and over. I had people, man, that when we was bad, they wanted to play. All of a sudden, we playing them a couple times. All right, now, we start beating you, and now when I make that phone call to play, now they don't answer the phone.
Of course not.
They don't answer that phone call. So that's just how I approach things, man, when it comes to baseball. Because if you don't have confidence, man, you can't make it in this game.
A true story. I had a cousin of mine. I guess he would be my second cousin or something like that. Anyway, they played against his team. I can't remember who he played for, but they played against you one time. And my cousin comes and she's like, "Hey, do you know the coach from the Rising Stars?" And that's when y'all were black and silver. Okay, that color combo. And I asked, I said, "What color were they?" And she told me, and I was like, I was like, yeah. I said, yeah. I said, well, it depends which coach it was. I said, I don't know who was out there because I didn't know if T was out there or you were out there. And she's like, well, he was at third base, a big guy, man. He looks scary, man. And then just how he was on the field and everything. I start laughing. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, so you must be talking about Willie. Yeah. And she's like, you know him? I said, yeah, great dude. Yeah. And she's like, really? And I said, yeah, really? She goes, I would have never thought that just by seeing him from the stands. I said, no, dude, that dude, he's a nice guy. He said, you should have talked to him. He would have talked to you.
Let me tell you, I had a parent one time. We was playing, and me and the other coaches going back and forth. But I knew him. We was doing it in fun. You know, we was out there competing. You know, we going. And as a matter of fact, I had trained a lot of kids. But the other lady, new kid on the team, she didn't know. Yeah. So she said she came to play with me. Their team broke up, so she came to play with me. And about a month later, she came up to me. She said, hey, I got to apologize to you. And I'm like, what I do now, you know? And she said, I told myself that I would never, ever play, my son would never play on your team. She said, but now that he's here, he loves it. He said he ain't going to play for nobody else. And I'm like, yeah, I get that reaction because most people, they see me on the field. They see me getting on kids and whatever, but they don't understand what I do outside of here, how I talk to them and everything. They don't understand that dynamic. Right. So they say, oh, man, he always getting on them. And I said, yeah, because you haven't had a bunch of AA kids that you're trying to get to a major level, not going to recruit kids and bringing them in to try to get there. You're trying to take this group and developing them to be on that level. I said, so there's a different how I do things, you know. I start off kicking them in the butt, and as we go through the year, the way I coach them begins to change because I don't care about winning until we get to the end of the year because, you know, my thing is I tell them I set our World Series up to be our thing, and we're trying to work to get there. And the reason why I do that is because it helps me to be patient with all the kids as they go along. Leaving a kid in too long to maybe learn something in that moment that it's going to help him down the line. So that's how I do things. And I don't care if I make you mad, you the pitcher, I don't care. But when we get to May, I care. So I start approaching them differently. And now we're trying to win. So we do things a little bit different. That's how I started doing, and it works for me. I tell them that's good. I only do what works for me, you know. And you know, I make them run, but at a certain point, we don't run for mistakes. We just run for getting in shape. Kids understand that. They know that now. This is the formula. This is how we do things. So that's what I do. And man, I used to worry about what people would think and all that. And when I moved home, man, I had a guy that used to coach me in football. He told me, he said, man, just be you. If people don't like it, they don't like it. You just go and find the people that want to do what how you coach, how you go. And man, you know, part of that is me not knowing how I grew up with this guy coaching me, how he did, you know. So now I have kids and parents, man, they know my heart. They know I mean the best for every kid I have on my team, not just one. And what is Beth talking about, 50 or 60,000 in the Woodlands? That's a totally different conversation anyway. I think that I'm talking Woodlands, and there's people that don't live in the Woodlands that go to the RBI that make $50,000 or $60,000 a year. That's over there. They not inner city. They black. They not inner city. That's what I was talking about. I ain't talking about who people in the Woodlands only make 50 or 60,000. That ain't what I was talking about.
Hey, I got a question. Because you brought it up about leaving a kid in there a little bit longer than you should in order for him to teach him something. I don't think that happens enough right now because coaches want it as the first sign of trouble. They're not trying to lose on Saturday. And so they will take the kid out when actually what you said, I mean, you get a lot of learning, teachable moments, and a lot of kids learn when they're put into that situation. I just don't think that happens enough now, just because of how we're.
I don't think people are really trying to develop. Because if I'm trying to develop that kid, then I know sometimes you don't get that moment again. So let's see what he can do. And then if he gets in that moment again, he can trust himself. Not everybody gets in that, is developing. And that's what I look at and say, man, it's because it's still more than baseball. Right. It's still about life. So I don't want a kid on my team, every time he gets in a tough spot, I come pull him out. That bleeds over to, as he gets older, life, I need mama to come pull me out. No, you're going to stay in there. Man, one of the funniest things I ever had, I had a kid his dad used to always cry about I wasn't pitching him enough. But the kid, he was a good pitcher, but when he was on, he was on. But when he was off, he was bad. So a lot of times I know a lot of those kids. I held him until, if we made it to the semifinals, I would pitch him. So he might not pitch that much. And his dad was just like, oh, man, you ain't pitching enough. So I said, look, I told my coach, I said, look, I'm going to put him out there on the mound. I don't care if he's off, he going to stay out there the whole time. If he pitch one inning and throw 100 pitches, he gonna throw 100 pitches. He gonna stay out there on the mound because I'm tired of his daddy telling me about that. So the kid's on the mound, he is terrible. He can't throw a strike, and I'm just sitting on the bench, just sitting there. Like, this what you wanted. So he's over there. He calls time, and he calls the catcher up there. And my catcher was really good. He ended up going to Rice and Sam Houston. But he walks out there to the mound, and you see him talking, and he says something to the catcher. All of a sudden, the catcher drops his head. So I'm looking out there, and the catcher looks at me, and he calls me out there. So I go walk out there. Well, the pitcher didn't call me, the catcher did. So I walked up to the catcher, and I said, what? And he looked at me, and he said, he has something to tell you. So I'm like, okay, what you got to tell me? He said, Coach, this pitching is really hurting my confidence right now. And I went off. I said, hurting your confidence? What you think we doing? We got to sit over here and watch this stuff. I said, you ain't doing nobody. You can't get nobody out. You ain't throwing a strike. Well, how do you think we feel when these guys sitting out here for 35, 40 minutes and they got to watch you out here on the mound? How do you think they feel? They haven't quit on you, so you telling me right now you ready to quit because it's not going good for you. He said, yeah. All right, give me the ball. That'd be the last time you pitch for me. Because these guys back here haven't quit. Yeah. So you got to suck it up on the mound and get it right, And, his dad was going to beat me up in the parking lot after the game. But,
must have been a big dude then.
Nah, I tell people, man, I'm understanding. After the game, man, the guy had been having back pains, and I went through that, man. So I know he was irritated, man. He jumped at me and I just sit there and took it, and said, all right, bye. I let him get it off. Next day he called me, he apologized.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Yeah. I just before we leave the subject, when I was pitching in high school, the one time that I learned the most, we were playing against St. Thomas, and I was a starting pitcher. Man, I didn't have shit that day. And I think we were losing first inning, like they scored 3, and then the second inning 2. And the third inning, I remember we were losing 7-0, and I kept on going back out there, and I kept on looking at the dugout. My coach said, "Quit fucking looking over here." Yeah. And I was ready to leave, man. I was like, man, I didn't want to be anywhere close to that mound. I ended up pitching a complete game. I learned more about myself from the 4th inning to the 7th inning than I did any other time. Because I knew I was down, and I did want to quit, but I just stayed there, and that just turned my whole season around.
I think baseball, I think baseball is a lot like life because you fail a lot, and you got to get up, and you got to believe in yourself even when you're failing. And so, only way I'll take a kid out is if I see that he's maybe mentally defeated and he's done. So you don't want him to quit. So then, I might take him out and let somebody else bat or something. I did that one time for a kid, and I got an email the next day from a parent. It wasn't even his parent, telling me how bad I was for taking a kid out and everything. And, I'm one of them that I respond back to emails and everything. And I sent her an email back, and I said, hey, did you know he had struck out like 8 times in a row? Did you know that when he didn't have to bat, he was the happiest kid, in the dugout. I said, I'm paying attention to the kid, and he was really getting dejected because he was striking out.
Right.
And, she emailed me back and said, maybe I need to start watching the game a little bit more instead of talking.
I would have said yes, too.
Yeah.
Man, well, I'll tell you what, man, Coach Willie, why don't you give everybody your name on where they can follow you at on Facebook? You have Twitter, you have Instagram. What do you got, Coach?
Man, I don't have none of that stuff.
Man, old school.
I got Facebook page, man, but Rising Star, they ain't got to follow me, man. They'll see me on Houston Select, man, every once in a while. I'm on there. Hey, I'm not with all of that. Follow me and the Instagram. I don't have no Instagram, all that stuff, man. I got a little Facebook page for our team and all that, man. I try not to have all that attention, man.
Hey, I tell you what. Okay, so you say you don't like all the attention or want that attention, but man, when you start talking on the Houston Select page, man, that comments just start going.
Well, sometimes, for a while, people didn't know me and Gil knew each other. And Gil would say something like crazy to me, and I'd be like, Gil, don't start, and they didn't know, like, he'd be texting me back, and, he'd be texting me, you see what they said? Like, oh, man. And then I would make a comment, and then he'd go, and then people would go. But, I mean, That's Facebook because people don't see, but I think it's a lot of, like you said, it's a lot of information that go out there, man, and people just not telling the whole truth, man. Tell people the truth, man. Look, if you recruit kids to play on your team, that's what you do. Then say that. Don't hide behind you develop when you stealing everybody's players and everybody know it. Don't hide behind that. That's what you do. You do.
Yeah, just
man. I tell them Ray has always been great at recruiting. He's always been, man. You could never knock him. He could go, and he was the best talker. He could get your kid off the team, all of that stuff. So if that's your lane and that's what you do, then do that. Yeah. But don't make people think you're into developing when the kids that's 9, 10, 11 might not even have a chance to be on your high school team because you're going to go recruit other kids instead of funneling those kids right through that program, because that's what it should be. Right. They should funnel right through your program up to the high school level and go. But, people want the national recognition, so they're going to go get this kid, that kid, and they lie to people about what they doing. And now, people lie so quick about baseball scholarships. It's like, no, he ain't get he all that. You got to watch the wording. He agreed to play baseball. He just going to that school. These kids signing early, people need to look at that. Some of them are there athletically and all of that, but some of them are going to those schools anyway.
Right.
They gonna go to A&M regardless. If they don't make the team, they still gonna be there. If they get cut after their sophomore year, they'll go. And people don't realize that you can go and you're there after the fall season. The coach calls you in the office and says, "Hey, I don't think this is gonna work out. You might need to go to a junior college." I had a kid from around here. He went to Tech. Power here to go. They loved him. He goes to Tech. And they change his swing, and then they tell him, I don't think you're going to play here, so you might want to go to a junior college. He goes to junior college and tears it up, going back to what he did, and he start tearing it up again. I think if you've seen him, I think he hit 2 or 3 home runs in the Junior College World Series in one game.
Nice.
Yeah, the kid, I forgot his name. He came and worked with me a couple times, but, man, the kid just got power. Left-handed hitter, man. He could swing it, and I'm thinking, why would they change your swing? And I tell kids, man, just because you go to college doesn't mean that coach is a good coach, good instructor. Just because they're in college. It's people in pro baseball. You don't even want them teaching you nothing. They not very good
teachers. That's just a nepotism job. A lot of them.
Oh, yeah. I know somebody. Oh, yeah. They get there, and they
that happens a lot.
Man, and people think, I coached in pro. That don't mean you good at what you do. Just because you're a college coach don't mean you a good coach at that. I've seen kids that go, and the coach maybe likes another kid that's already there. You come in as a freshman, you're going to take his job. So the coach goes, hey, man, come over here. Let's work with you. He changed your swing up. Now you can't hit. So his guy that's been there, he gets to play.
Exactly.
They don't act like that stuff happens.
Yeah,
it
that happens a lot.
And that's why I tell kids that come, when you go to college, be able to know who you are as a hitter. And listen, yes, sir, boom. But if it don't work for you,
Go back.
throw it out.
Do
what works for you, man.
For sure,
And that's funny that you bring that up because I know a couple of guys that are coaches in some organizations. Man, I wouldn't even let them coach at 9. I wouldn't even, man, they're terrible.
Call them out.
I'm not gonna do that. But I tell you what, but they got that job because they knew a lot of people in that organization.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot.
Yeah,
that happens a lot.
Everybody that say they pro, that's why I mean, me personally, I said I don't try to tell people I played, I was the number 1 pick, all of that stuff, because it don't matter. I only bring that out every often. I mean, I had a guy trying to talk to me, and I'm like, hey, man, you might need to Google my name.
I remember that one.
I mean, I don't bring it out too much, but, if I Google
That was
your
on Facebook,
name
right?
and
I think I
Google
remember
mine, what happens, But to me, it don't really matter until getting somebody trying to knock you. But, how I coached, I didn't learn it from pro baseball. I learned it from getting out there grinding and coaching and going. I took some things from the game, but, I didn't learn how to coach from playing pro baseball. I didn't. I learned how to coach from actually coaching. And when I go to games, man, I watch everything. I watch other coaches. I watch what they do because I never know what I can pick up from this guy, that guy. People be talking about the daddy's coaching. I'm like, some of them can do the job pretty good.
Yeah,
they know the game. They can teach the game. And, so I try to find out, watch everybody. Because the one thing I learned was about baseball, God told me, he said, learn as much as you can. If you're standing around, listen. Don't matter if the infield instructor is giving instruction, make sure you listen because you might learn something. And when I went to the Arizona Fall League, Ron Washington was the infield coach.
Good stuff.
I would get dressed and I would go down early and I would listen to him talk and what he would say to the infielders and all of that. And he used to always say, down the up, down the up, down the up. He would constantly say this. He hit balls down the up, down the up. So I asked him. He said, because I want that to stick in their head. When a ball hit to them, I want them to hear me say down the up, down the up, And when I have kids who don't get the glove down, I go to repeating that over and over and over and over until it gets in their head. And I want them to hear me when that happens. So I try to learn a lot in the game, but then when I started coaching, man, you got to apply your own thing there.
Right.
And you start realizing some of the guys just out there, man, show up 5 minutes before the game. And I'm like, oh, man, come on, man.
You should just stayed home.
Yeah. So, I tell them I never brag. I've never bragged about saying, man, I got these stud teams or whatever, because that ain't what I try to do.
Yeah.
My thing is I'm trying to develop these kids. I like my 14-year-old group, man, I love those guys to death because, man, they paid the price to get where they are, and they still have a lot of room to grow. And that's another thing is coaches can coach, but can you coach kids to keep going to different levels? Some guys are good at that 9, 10, 11-year-old age group, and then 12-year-old, they start to struggle a little bit. 13 as a coach, they start to struggle, they can't do it, and then they start losing kids. So every time you move up, you got to be able to coach and develop kids on that level as they go, because it changes. The game changes. Kids' sizes, it changes. So the mental part of it, you got to be able to talk to them about it and everything, and you got to be able to watch kids. They start having bad days, and they start getting 12, 13. Man, you never know what a kid's going through at home. You don't know. So, I had an incident where I jumped on a kid, and I sent him home. But when I looked on his face, I knew he was having a bad day, and I didn't want him to be out there struggling. So I kind of got on him just to get on him. He did something little. I got on him, and I said, man, you need to go home. Because in my heart, I felt like, man, he wasn't there that day. He was, and I didn't want him to look bad like he's quitting or so I just got on him and I said, hey, man, go home. And I called him later and I said, man, his dad, and talked to him and, trying to figure out what was going on with him. Because when I looked in his eyes, I knew it was something else. It wasn't baseball.
Right.
It was something else going on.
That was a good call, too.
Yeah. So, I think when you start getting to that age, you got to look at these kids. They're young men. Now with my 14s, man, you start handling them like young men.
Yeah, you have to.
They're young men.
You're the only team from Houston, right? That won that NIT over there, right? At Portland?
Yes.
Yeah. You're the only one. I think the only one from
and
Houston.
it was great, man. I mean, I'm gonna tell you what.
All them Mexicans down there probably hating on you, man.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what was great about that, because we were supposed to go to Dallas. I mean, I wanted them, man. I think God has a plan for all of us and everything, and we were supposed to go to Dallas. About 2 weeks before we were supposed to go to that Dallas thing, I was just on there and I looked and said, oh man, it's super NIT important. So I'm thinking, I know all the good teams gonna go to Dallas. So we need to go down there. Plus, in Dallas, in November, man, it might be 40 degrees. Yeah, I don't want to be down there at that. Yeah. So, I asked the parents, they wanted to go, and we went there, man, and it was great for us, man. I tell, just to be in there, one of the parents, her mom had, they was really close to the family, her team, and her mom had just passed, and they came anyway, and it was just a lot of stuff that lined up, and then the way we won it at the end, with a walk-off.
The weather was good, too.
Oh, it was great. Wind was blowing a little bit, and they brought out those, $700 roll bats on us, on Sunday.
Not really, not the Valley teams, right?
Oh man, it was unbelievable. I started going like, what the heck? These dudes couldn't even hit yesterday when we was using the drop threes, and all of a sudden, every hitter on the team dropping, hitting ball. Our guys went from playing in to on Sunday having to play on a warning track on a high school field. And I told the dude, I said, oh man, those bats can't be. Our kid threw a curveball to a kid that hung inside. He hit it to right field over our right fielder's head. And I said, nah, man, ain't no way. Ain't no way, And we score, and we come down, man. We got one out, runner on first base, first and second, down by one. My leadoff hitter for that game, I just had a thing. I said, man, I'm going to drop. He was struggling. I said, I'm going to drop him to the 9 hole. I dropped him at the bottom of the order. Man, he comes up, and I go tell him, I said, look, man, turn around like you're going to bunt the first one. I said, I guarantee you, second pitch, he going to lay it in there because Sebastian Rojas, he's a short guy. He's real strong, though. He's probably the strongest kid overall on our team. And I said, he's going to lay you one right there. So he turns around, he fakes bunt, pulls it back. Boom, I'm standing over looking. Next pitch comes out the pitcher's hand, and out of the corner of my eye, I'm turning. When you're at third base, you see the ball in a certain location going to the plate, and I just seen that swing out there, boom, when he hit it. I thought he was going to walk it off, but it wasn't up high enough, man. Our kid scored from first. Man, I ran.
Yeah, I was there.
I was going to say something to the coach, but then I thought about where I was because they was talking noise, and I'm like, I'm going to go back over here because I don't need no police escort out of here. Like in the semifinal game, they had to call the cops, and the coach is running out, man. He threatened the umpire, man. He said, man, I know people, man. I know people. I was like, oh, man, this is crazy. Now I know what they're talking about when they talk about these Valley teams, man. Little old short dude, man. He's like, I know people, man. I know people. I can call people, man. I know people. I'm like, oh man, this is serious.
Yeah, Junior came back with the full on report.
Man, it was crazy.
We were laughing. I think he called us from the thing or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I was leaving, and I got a call. I was like, hey man, the cops are out here because I had left. I was like, why? Man, you don't even want to know. They just started telling me. I was like, okay, sounds about right. Valley teams, yeah.
Well, you know what happened was we had bases loaded in the semifinal game. And, I try to tell my kids in baseball, you got to look for every mistake somebody makes. So I already know when a pitcher's out there and he's struggling and his base is loaded and he walks a guy, the first thing the coach does, he jumps off the bench, and an inexperienced coach is going to call time. Well, you can't get time until he gets to first base. So that's what the guy did. So when he jumped up and called time, I'm watching. So my kids know if you're at second base, you got to come pretty quick, not too fast so you don't draw attention, but a good jog coming around there. So he was walking out. Well, the pitcher just went to the foul line and was waiting on him to walk. The catcher started walking there. So my guy at third base is just jogging in slow. The guy running to first base, he's going slow. So my runner at second base hits third base and just keeps coming. Boom. The guy at first base is sprinting. He comes around. Man, the guy hits the base. My second guy hits the base. And we were down at the time. He touches home plate. And then the guy coming, he was almost to third base when first I was going to send him. Then the umpire called time. And then he told him, oh, those runs counted. Man, that dude went ballistic. And we're talking to the team in the championship game. They're playing their semifinal game, and they're talking to us, and they say, yeah, some team, you know, they cheated and, you know, they were doing this. And I said, oh, well, that was us. You know, I said, nah. I explained to the coach what happened. We get to play them. They do the exact same thing. We're down 4-0, bases loaded. We scored 2 runs on a walk. And they did the exact same thing. And I'm like, oh, man. And then they were mad at me saying we cheating. Like, nah, man, you got to learn the rules. You know? Second, we played an hour and 30 minutes. The games were an hour and 40. We played 3 innings in an hour and 30 minutes the first game we played them on Saturday. They came up to bat, the batting gloves. I mean, I told the umpire, I said, man, we can't play baseball like this. We used to trying to get as many innings as we can. These guys are just dragging the game slow as they can, everything. They had a kid come up to the plate and then go back to the dugout to get his batting gloves. I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. This how y'all play baseball down here?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. That's funny, man. Well, Coach, I tell you what, man, it was a pleasure having you. We finally got you in. We've been talking about it since what? When was the NIT?
Man, the NIT was in November.
November, yeah.
November.
Yeah, so better late than never. So
yes, sir.
Man,
Glad
thanks,
to be here, man.
Thanks for coming in, man.
Appreciate it, Coach.
And thanks for the hats too.
Yeah, they're sweet. We're gonna be rocking it all weekend.
Yeah,
I like the way the material came out and the stitching. It looks real good, man.
Yeah, so thanks for the hats. Thanks for coming in and talking to us about your Astro career, your high school career, your football career, especially with the Barry Switzer. That was pretty cool because I knew. Barry Switzer left Oklahoma. I don't know when he left, but I don't think he was there in the 90s.
He left 88. I think he left in 89.
Did he? Okay. Yeah, I knew it was somewhere around there.
Yeah. I mean, when I went, a lot of the guys told me, hey, man, Barry's good. When I went into the coach's office, after I left out, I knew why he got a lot of players. Because he was just laid back. He was cool.
Was he?
He's talking to me. He got his feet up on the desk. He's just chilling out. Yeah, and, the way he came off, you just felt there. And they shot straight with you. I mean, I went on a lot. I went to A&M. I went on a lot of, my 5 recruiting visits. But, with them, they was always honest. They said, hey, we're going to recruit these 2 guys. If you say yes today, we're not going to recruit them anymore. But be here. So I was like, oh, man, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Everybody else just told me how many times I went to A&M. They was talking about how many times they on TV. I was like, am I going to get to play, man? I don't care about it. What good is being on TV and being on the sideline, man? Yeah, I want to play.
Oh, man. Well, thanks for coming, Coach. Hope you have a good weekend. What do you got planned for this weekend?
Let me see. We are going – well, we're not practicing, I don't think.
It's supposed to be raining all weekend, right?
Yeah, it's raining.
It was raining when I went to my car just right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
No, we're going to be practicing. We'll practice in the morning, Saturday and Sunday. What I have the kids do is they throw to each other in the cage. Got 4 at a time coming. They throw to each other. see some live arm action.
Following the
for an
rules.
hour. Yeah.
Following the rules.
Yeah. We following the rules. I always follow the rules, man. I don't want to. I mean, I'm not trying to get anybody sick. I don't want to get sick. My aunt and uncle both came down with it. So everybody talks about it until it hits home.
That's what I've been
and it
saying.
hits close to you, and I was blessed. They both recovered, but it really hit home because I'm thinking, man, I could have just lost two relatives. We could have been going to two funerals, a funeral with two people there for my family. So it's kind of like I make them wear masks. Y'all got to wear a mask. If we have to play with them, they'll be used to wearing them. If we don't, okay, fine. But if we do, they'll be used to doing whatever they got to do and breathing it and everything. So, it's I'm one of them that I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but, a lot of people are recovering, but it is people dying. So I don't want to be the one that tries to play. If we play baseball, we play. If not, we don't. I'm not. Either way it goes, I just don't want to put anybody in danger. Yeah. Me personally, I told my parents, I don't know if we'll jump out and try to play a bunch of tournaments. We might try to play games where it's just us and another team.
Little scrimmage.
Go play. That's it. Until, if everybody want to go play, let them go. And if somebody breaks out, because if this stuff breaks out in a tournament anywhere,
that's it.
Like, that's it. I don't care if it's in California or whatever. If something goes down, one kid.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
Yeah, that's it. It's done.
Okay, so I saw a Real Sports thing on HBO where they did a little study of what went into the decision to cancel spring training games. I don't know if anybody has seen that.
No.
So they used the cell phone. Okay, so we're not going to talk about Big Brother, but they took everybody that went to this one Met game. I think it was the Mets. Okay, so however they did it, they figured out, they pinged the phones. That's what they did. Okay, so from that game, the next day, all the patrons or all the fans. Okay, so you got Florida like this, right? So they're playing over here in Port St. Lucie. They showed exactly from the next day. I'm talking like 12 hours. How people just went from lower, how it spread, and so they used that to kind of simulate how the COVID would spread. Dude, I'm talking like you're like down here in Florida, and people were like on their way to California, on their way to New York. So it was funny how it spread, and I found it kind of interesting how they used the cell phone technology, pinging the phone. But they use it how fast it could spread. Yeah. And then we're talking about in a 12-hour span.
Just think about when Louisiana was breaking out and they said people, as soon as they crossed the border, they got a text message said, hey, you need to quarantine or something, It's like, wow.
Yeah, so do you think, July 1st, you think Memorial Day weekend? I don't even think they're going to play
I
July
said
1st.
June 1st, but actual like tournaments, I'm going to say till July, man. Because, look, LA just got popped for 3 more months till August 1st. Mm-hmm. You know what's going to happen next. We just got to get ready for it.
Yeah,
July 1st, you think?
I think at the earliest for a tournament, that would be the earliest. But I think if anything else, it's too far away because it doesn't have to be that much that goes on before it's canceled, you know. So I'm hoping, but I think they're going to allow you to play games but not terms. I think that's where they're going because I read something where some doctor or something was talking about the one in, I don't know where it was, they had the tournament, and he mentioned that it should be games and not a tournament where you playing, individual teams are getting together and play. I think that's what they might do first. I'm hoping that way first because I think it allows us to play and not run that big of a risk of getting shut down because that's the worst thing is to get shut down. So if we could play, we went to Louisiana. They did it really well. They had 4 fields. We only played in 2. They offset people coming in. The way they did that, it was really well. It was before it broke out. Right. But the way they did it, I'm thinking, okay, that could really work if they did it like that. But that means there's going to be less teams playing in the tournament. Yeah. like that. But if they did it like they did it, it would probably work, how they sanitize in between teams leaving out and kept the fans apart and the other teams coming in later. I think that could work. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it does. Julio, you think July 1st? Maybe? Be tough, right?
It's tough, dude.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see what happens, man. So,
We'll see.
Once again, Coach, thanks for coming in.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Coach
Appreciate
Williams
it.
coming in. Former first round. He needs to go on the wall somewhere, man.
Yeah,
we're
you're
have
going
buy
to
his-
Hall of Fame.
We're gonna have to
put
buy
him
his
right there by the
card.
rainbow,
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah, right there. Right there by the rainbow. We're gonna put him up there. We're gonna have to buy his card on Amazon or something.
No, I got you, son.
Okay.
I got it. I got it.
We're ready to put it right there at the Astro wall, right there.
Right there. Okay, I got it. I got some. About 2 weeks. Give me about 2 weeks. I got it for
You
you.
give it to Julio, he'll bring it in.
All right.
Yeah. So thanks, Coach.
Hey, Julio's so quiet. I forget he had practice though.
Yeah. JJ just left the house right now. So
Did he really? Oh, nice.
tell them they gotta go home, and go to sleep.
Hey, I called JJ Jacob the other day at practice, and he's looking at me like, and I said, "Your name's Jacob, huh?" He goes, "Yeah," because I always call him JJ, but I don't know why I called him Jacob, and he just was stunned like Jacob.
Oh, that's funny, man.
That's funny.
Well, listen, Julio, once again, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you. Thank you for coming
Happy
in.
birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy birthday. The cake was good. Junior, anything before we go?
No, man. We appreciate all the support. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thanks to all our sponsors that are part of the show. So, Frank the Tank Team 7 Grillers, Ferrari Michelada Mix, Rick Webb Design, Issa Cookie, Senior Spit Custom, Sunflower Seeds, and C4 Bat Company.
Yeah, so, once again, happy birthday, Julio. Thank you for everybody who's turning in. Before I go, follow Nick Ortiz on his Facebook. He runs, he's a part of a youth football organization, and they robbed him last night.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so they have the video. So I think I shared it, or I tried to share it.
I
or
think I
something.
saw that one.
Okay, yeah, man. So if anybody has any information about that, and they can identify the truck, then contact Nick Ortiz. I believe it's with the Northwest Seahawks or something like that. I may be wrong, but Nick Ortiz can correct me on that. But yeah, check that out. And man, there's no place for that, especially with stealing from youth sports. So we can do anything to help them out. Let's make sure we do it. But with all that being said, for our guest, Coach Willie Ansley, Junior Aguilar, the birthday boy, Julio Ramirez, I'm Steve Medina. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Wind Up Podcast, brought to you by the Wind Up Podcast Media Group, or the Wind Up Media Group, excuse me. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Wear your mask. Wash your hands and use sanitizer. We'll see you next week.
And you know we keep it real. Getting that money. It's like ghetto dreams, diamond rings and things. Coming down. I'm shaking haters like a king to dream. Hold up. Sliding down the avenue with an attitude. Drop the top just to show the Lord my gratitude. Holding, applying pressure like I bust a vest. Pull up at Frenchie's, bumping pat when I'm feeling extra. But Big Mo at Papa Do's when I'm feeling special. I'm talking big body lat. I can't fit in no Tesla. Love my city, I love my city, I love my city. Ask God to make my arms longer so I can hug my city. That money already made, pistol keep it with me. I'm all about my dough, see I got zero with me. Don't say nothing if you can't be 100 with me. I'ma bring that smoke like a hippie. It's H-Town for real. And you know we keep it real.